management in the country.
So there are positions that we can't fill once people have been suspended. There are vacancies, and I think one of the tasks I have with the newly appointed acting National Commissioner is to look at the resourcing issues.
Tshwane Metro Police suspended Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini has faced tough questions about his decision to communicate with the Metro's CFO about tenders through disgraced police officer Fani Nkosi. Dlamini is back before the Madlanga Commission after being suspended last month. His suspension followed testimony of his alleged involvement in the rigging of a 2.9 billion rand tender with Nkosi, who is also suspended and now faces criminal charges. Khomotso Modise reports.
The Madlanga Commission spent some time today dealing with a message that suspended TMPD Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini sent to General Fani Nkosi, asking him that he make an inquiry with suspended Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi on two potential tender bidders. It's related to two men identified as Sipho and Muzi who claim to be bidding for someone they referred to as CIC Juju and the EFF, but Dlamini says he later learned that the men were chancers who lied. But he's been asked about why he had to go through Nkosi when inquiring about these men with Mnisi.
This is about Tshwane business and the sort of thing you should inquire about directly from another Tshwane employee. It has nothing to do with familiarity. Why did you not pick up the contact list, get the number and call the CFO? What we are saying does not make sense at all.
The commissioners have asked Dlamini if he would have done anything different if he knew the men were from the EFF, but he's failed to give a clear answer, saying he would have advised them about the tender that they were inquiring about. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The magistrate in the Palapala trial says one of the accused still needs to answer to how he came into a large sum of US currency. Today, the Mudimule Regional Court dismissed an application by the three accused to have the charges against them dropped. Emanuela David is charged alongside siblings Froliana and Dilinasho Joseph with several counts of housebreaking, theft and money laundering. It's alleged that in 2020, they broke into President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala farm and stole $580,000 in cash. Tabiso Goba reports.
Following the burglary at Palapala, accused number 1 Emanuela David went on a cross-country shopping spree. He purchased a fleet of luxury cars, properties, a diamond-encrusted Rolex watch, custom-made grills and other stuff. Some of the service providers who were brought to testify in the trial said he paid in US currency. They also testified that David told them he got the money shipping mercury to Namibia. While handing down his ruling today, Magistrate Peter Mantata says many questions still remain unanswered.
The version that the accused one canvassed with the witnesses that the money he used to buy the cars and seemingly the money he used to buy immovable properties and other transactions he entered into, he got it from a Namibian man, Pedro, needs him to answer. The court cannot at this stage of the proceedings just accept it as it is.
The trial resumes on the 25th of May, with the defense expected to call their first witness. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyani has taken legal action against EFF leader Julius Malema over what he describes as defamatory statements. The application filed in the Eastern Cape High Court in Kukompo seeks to have Malema's claims declared false and unlawful. The dispute centers around allegations by Malema that Mabuyani fraudulently obtained a master's degree from the University of Fort Hare, claims the Premier strongly denies. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
In court papers, Mabuyani argues the statements have damaged his reputation and were made without any evidence, adding that he's seeking damages and an interdict against further public comment. The move comes amid heightened legal pressure on Malema, who was last week sentenced by the East London Magistrates Court for a firearms-related offence stemming from a 2018 rally, although he remains free pending an appeal. Sono Abombananga speaks for the Premier.
This action is not about politics. It is about protecting the truth, upholding dignity, and defending constitutional rights. The Premier will not allow his name or office to be used as a target.
Political tensions between the two have been playing out publicly, with the court now expected to determine whether Malema's remarks amount to defamation. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has urged NATO allies to stick together. The call follows a report that the United States is considering taking action against Spain over its refusal to support operations against Iran. The Reuters news agency cited an anonymous U.S. official saying the Pentagon had outlined potential measures to punish allies. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly railed against NATO allies for refusing to help out more with the Iran war, saying he viewed it as betrayal. In response to the latest developments, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says he is not worried, stressing his country was a reliable member of NATO. Gold is trading at $4,685, 2 cents an ounce. The rand is at 16.63 to the dollar, 22.42 to the pound, 19.41 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $106.29 a barrel.
In the traffic, look out for a stationary vehicle on the N12 West just before the Reading interchange, and there is an accident on the N1 South just after New Road on the right lane, so please drive carefully.
In your sport, Orlando Pirates aim to complete the league double over Kaizer Chiefs. Pitso Mosimane reveals informal Ghana approach ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And Turkey to return to Formula One calendar from 2027.
It's a cloudy Friday afternoon in Gauteng with showers expected throughout this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 15 and 16 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia believes President Cyril Ramaphosa made the right decision by suspending National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Friday, the 24th of April. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. At the Madlanga Commission, yet another senior Tshwane Metro official who is unable to get a phone number for another senior Tshwane Metro official. Interestingly enough, the second Tshwane Metro official also said he was unable to get the phone number of the first, thereby necessitating that both of them use the middleman services of Sergeant Fani Nkosi, who is currently trying to get bail, facing charges of illegal possession of firearms. As I said, another day at the Madlanga Commission. Khumotso Modise will update us on developments coming up fairly shortly. Also in the news, the rising oil price is making life more expensive in obvious ways. Higher prices when you fill up, don't we all just know that? And the impact as well on transport bills, pushing up the cost of food and other goods as well. But there's more to consider than that. Oil is used in the production of all kinds of things, and many of them are spiking in price already. We'll talk about this with Professor David Walwyn from the University of Pretoria at 4:10. For example, read recently that the global price of condoms is expected to go up 30%. Looking forward to that conversation and a better understanding of just how many things actually are made with oil. We'll bring you Randall's one song. He'll be talking to us about this rather wonderful group. Any idea who they are? I'll give you a clue. Earlier in the week when we were talking about favorite trios, somebody named those people you've just heard. Drop me a note if you know who they are, and crucially, make sure you're with us at 4:10 with Randall. It's never just the song. It's so much else about how it was made. And in our weekly feature, A Song, a Book and a Dish, we'll get to know someone whose astute and interesting comments on international politics have certainly made a big difference to my understanding of a whole range of situations. South Africa's standoff with the United States, the current crisis in the Gulf and more. Dr. Kingsley Makhubela, our guest at 20 to 6. On the markets, the JSE has made a small gain of 425 points today after a tough day yesterday. Crude is up by 5%. British American Tobacco has gained 4 after a good day yesterday, and Sasol is up by 2.9%. Not so good for Mondi today, not sure why, but down by 7%. Kumba has lost 2.8%. Coal producer Thungela is weaker by 3%, which is a little unusual. Normally, Thungela and Sasol moving in lockstep, depending on the global oil price, but somehow not today. Rand is trading weaker, currently at 16.56 against the dollar. That's 7 cents down from this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 19 Rand 28, again weaker by 10 cents, our currency, and 22 Rand 34 will get you a pound, the Rand losing 8 cents to sterling. The oil price, Brent crude, is going for $104.52 a barrel. Stephen Critters joining us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga, including her take on the Soweto derby on Sunday. Khumotso Munyai in a moment with all the traffic news, and we've got Mbali Dlamini updating us on the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will hear it here first. But if you hear about something before we do, if you know something about something that we think we know about but don't know as much about it as we think we do, well, get in touch with us. And if you simply want to join in, give us your thoughts on what's going on in the world or places closer to home. Those numbers again, 072 7021 702 or 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 14 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
So I mentioned the Soweto derby. Some of you will remember very, very fondly this moment.
Take it away. Gideon helping with defense. Now Mark's going for glory. Has he got it? That's magnificent. That is magnificent. Yusuf Mart from his own half has scored the most extraordinary goal. Kaizer Chiefs have the lead. My word. That's got to be one of the great derby goals of all time.
And for those of you who didn't enjoy that at all, well, you probably enjoyed this.
Orlando Pirates. Jean-Claude. Bulletinelli.
Of course, the best thing about being a football fan is if your team scores goals, don't concede too many, and if they win. But let's ask the question a lot more specifically. What is the best thing about being a Kaizer Chiefs fan? And what is the very best thing about being an Orlando Pirates fan? Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Let's get your thoughts ahead of Derby Day on Sunday. Jonathan Fairbairn, I've no idea, are you a fan of either team?
I support Kaizer Chiefs.
Okay.
And, you know, sadly, I've never been to a Derby game.
You're kidding?
Yeah. I was invited to go this weekend, but I have a 50th birthday party.
Yours?
No, I have a few years to go until then.
Okay.
But yeah, that's one of the big things that I'm not proud about.
No, you've got to go.
But being a Chiefs fan, and one of the best things about being a Chiefs fan is, let's say I'm walking in the streets,
yes,
right, and a complete stranger has got a Kaizer Chiefs jersey on, and I just go.
Okay, that's
and
two
I
fingers,
show,
yeah?
you know, if you can't see my hand, I've got my 2 fingers up, right? The smile, the handshake, it's like brothers, you know?
Yes.
And that's what I kind of like. Now, if I saw a Manchester United fan on the streets and I just go, hey, how's it? I'm not going to get the same kind of reaction.
Yeah, because there's some explaining required, whereas here you could do it from literally across the street.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to speak.
Yeah.
Khumotso, I don't know, football in your life, it's never come up, but time to share?
Yes. So at home we are Orlando Pirates. Also, nobody has a choice. My dad has this huge big flag. He's probably gonna take it out tomorrow. So the street always knows when there's Orlando Pirates playing. You see it by that flag waving just by the house.
Okay.
And the reason why, what I think is really just great about being Orlando Pirates. I mean, the blacker the what is this? What are they saying? What is that thing about? Blackberry, the sweeter the juice, because we wear black.
Oh,
so
yeah, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Also, have you seen Mufukeng? I mean, come on. What do you mean? Yadlim yam, yadlim yam, yadlim yam. Come on. That's what we do. So, yeah, I think it's the character. You can tell Orlando Pirates people are really bold. They are really exciting. They are fiery. I mean, you could see it even on the pitch.
Yes.
And the way they sing. I mean, I will say this, though, which will get me a little bit into trouble. I think Sundowns fans are far better singers. The best singers, I think, actually. If you go on stadium, you should witness this, John, and come back and tell me. But and then in second in place, it has to be us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let your dad know about the singing. Call him. We'll get his number. We'll play him the clip. Yeah. I'm not a fan of either team, and in fact, I'm not a fan of any team because after spending so many years being a football commentator, I took a decision really early on that I was going to neutralize my views about South African football teams. And somehow I've never broken free of that. But I've been to loads and loads of derbies, many, many Sundowns games. Don't know, I don't have a strong view on who sings best. If you wanted to ask me, the best singers actually were Bloemfontein Celtic fans in the late 80s and early 90s. They sang everybody out of the park.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to give a view on that as well. Football fans, Celtic fans, I would give them the Stedford
Maybe we need
gold
to
medal.
get you to start picking a local team because those days of you reporting and that are long gone.
Okay. I'll give it some thought.
So give that some thought. But pick wisely because, when you come in sometimes on a Monday after Arsenal have, narrowly won, your blood pressure and all that is high as it is.
Yes. No,
I need it to go higher.
I need more problems in my life. Thank you. I don't have not nearly enough sources of stress. Seriously though, Pirates fans, what's the best thing about being a Buccaneer if you're a Chiefs fan? Corsi for life, maybe you want to tell us what is the very, very best thing about being a Chiefs fan. 19 minutes past 3. We look forward to hearing from you on that.
EWN Traffic.
Right, Friday rush hour, always earlier. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by GWM, class-leading vehicles that help you navigate your journey. Khumotso, what are we looking like?
That is true, John. I also think the fact that it's a rainy day out there and it's a long weekend, there's definitely more peak time delays at this hour. If you're traveling in Dobsonville, there's already bumper-to-bumper traffic on Motswaledi Road with delays stretching from Tepo Temba Hospital, so please exercise just a little bit of patience there. The M1 North is also experiencing some delays from Ethel Oaklands Road all the way to Grayston Drive. In the opposite direction, traffic is also a little bit sluggish as you head to the Crown Interchange. The N3 South is heavily backed up from the Batlu Interchange all the way to the Galulis Interchange. And remember to look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 South in Beyers Nodia, in Kyalami at the R55 in Kenilworth, and over in the city of Tshwane, traffic lights are also out in Centurion at the R55 and Summit. Likewise, if you come across any other traffic, please do send us a voice note on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Ever since fuel went up, you've had to endure a lot. Like helping your mom run errands while she tries to help you with your love life.
Hi, Bo. Kanti, when are you and Sfiso getting married? Pella, I want grandchildren.
Don't let the fuel hike put you under pressure. Get 5,000 Rand towards your fuel when you buy a Haval or P-Series this month. Visit gwm.co.za or your nearest dealer to book a test drive. GWM. Go with more.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Nikki, you've called in from Force Flores. You want to reflect on the announcement made by President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday afternoon, announcing Lieutenant General Buleng Dimpane as the acting police commissioner. Your thoughts on that?
There's no way you can suspend someone and leave that space, especially such a serious space.
Here's a voice note from a listener who's not so happy with the appointment.
I think that particular lady doesn't possess that required agility to be able to hold that particular position.
Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi is very much a conflicted player.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that brings us all together. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be a part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702 and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. More on primemediaplus.com.
I'm Dealer here with more than just a betting app ad. Download the 10Bet app and enjoy the action of betting anytime, anywhere. It's more than just an app. It's a 10Bet experience. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
New from the House of Citroën.
Ah, so stylish.
470-litre boot space. I need it.
Keyless entry, so chic.
Cruise control. Oh, bonjour.
4-year or 60,000 kilometer service plan? Oui.
The stylish, all-new Citroën Basalt is here. You want a piece of it. Starting from 354,900 Rand. Register now for limited deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702 Drive with John Perlman was in conversation with PPS, discussing their record 2025 profit share.
A second good year in succession, 2025 even better. How have you managed to achieve this?
Mainly two sources of profit. One is operating profit. That's mainly underwriting profit. So that is from the insurance business. Then what do we do with that profit? We allocate it to our members, but in profit share accounts that stay on balance sheet. That's our capital. Remember, we're a mutual business and we invest it. And then, of course, if the investment markets do their thing, there's extra profit to declare the next year. So as we know, 2025, probably against all expectations, was a brilliant year in the investment markets, especially local and even overseas equities.
Visit pps.co.za today and experience how mutuality can add up for you. PPS, success is better shared.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
702 Drive still to come on the show. We were talking a little bit earlier, in fact yesterday, and it was something we're going to talk about yesterday because we had to make some changes. That's because of the press conference that was hosted by President Cyril Ramaphosa. But yesterday we had highlighted the fact that Cricket South Africa is struggling to secure a UK TV deal. This is for the screening of the England Test Series. Normally, that would be a big money spinner for Cricket South Africa, which has done huge work to actually turn around its financial situation at the moment. But yeah, that was a story we're going to do yesterday. We'll do it today and do it in the company of Nqobile and Ndlovu, who's the founder of Cash in Sport Research and Advisory. Okay, let's go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and welcome Khumotso Modise. Khumotso, a very good afternoon to you. Once again, the Tshwane Metro Police Department front and center in the conversation. And once again, there seems to be huge difficulty in people who work in the same organization, i.e. the Tshwane Metro, actually being able to get hold of each other's phone numbers. If that sounds a little cryptic, make sense of it for us, please, and tell us what we've heard at the Commission so far.
Well, John, good afternoon. We have Umashi Dlamini, who's back on the witness stand today at the Madlanga Commission, and he's the suspended deputy chief of the Tshwane Metro Police Department. He's been testifying today about his relationship with Sergeant Fani Nkosi, and that's because he's been linked to Fani Nkosi through a tender, 2.9 billion rand tender for a company called Ngapesheya that's listed or has Fani Nkosi's brother listed as the owner of that company. Now, what we've heard today is what seems to be odd communication between Fani Nkosi and Umashi Dlamini whenever it comes to tenders. And what you are referring to is something that was explored a little earlier, John, around communication that was made between Umashi Dlamini through Fani Nkosi to the CFO of, or the now suspended CFO of Tshwane. And what we've heard from testimony today is that there were two men, John, who were bidding or planning to bid for a tender in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, and they had purported to be from the EFF, citing someone called CIC Juju, and that's believed to be Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF. And Umashi Dlamini says when these men approached him to inquire about this tender, but also seeking to be assisted, it seems that they wanted him to influence the awarding of this tender. They claimed to be linked to the EFF. And he said he decided to check with the CFO, Gareth Mnisi, on this. But he didn't go directly to Gareth Mnisi, John. He went through Fani Nkosi. And so he contacted Fani Nkosi to say, please call Gareth Mnisi and find out if these people are indeed from the EFF. And the commission has been trying to find out why he needed to go through Fani Nkosi, because both Umashi Dlamini as the deputy chair, or the deputy chief rather, of the TMPD and Gareth Mnisi were employed by the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department or the Ekurhuleni Municipality. And so the commission has been trying to figure out why Fani Nkosi has been used as a middleman, as a bridge in this. And the answer that he's been giving is the fact that he was only familiar with Nkosi and not Mnisi. But the commissioners were not having it, John, really pointing out that there are directories in the department. There was a way that Umashi could have had to contact the CFO. And so there was no need for him to go through Fani Nkosi unless there was something untoward about these tenders.
And my understanding is, Khumotso, that they've been setting out exactly what it is that they think is untoward, that the messaging going back and forth could not in any way, from the bits I heard the commissioners engaging with, their view is that this couldn't in any way be categorized as kind of innocent or general inquiry. There was real intention. Intention to do what?
Yeah, look, already I think the commissioners have made it clear, or at least Commissioner Sesiba Loyi has made it clear that the inquiry that was brought by these two men was not innocent, because they clearly wanted Umashi Dlamini to interfere and to influence the awarding of this tender. And so already the commissioners have a sense that this inquiry was for the interference of or for Umashi to influence it somehow. But I should also point out that he was asked what would he have done differently if this inquiry truly was from the EFF and Julius Malema. Would he have acted differently if he had heard that this was truly from the EFF? And he says that he would have just advised the people. But because those people ended up to be chancers and they were liars, he then turned them back and did not respond to them. But the commissioners were not satisfied with this answer at all.
Thanks so much, Khumotso Modise, EWN reporter, 702 Drive. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news from Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. The case against the man accused of killing a Madlanga Commission witness has been transferred to the Brakpan Regional Court for further bail proceedings. Matipandile Soteni appeared in the Brakpan Magistrates Court today after an earlier change in legal representation resulted in a delay to his bail application. Soteni was arrested last month after police linked him to the December murder of Marius van der Merwe, also known as Witness D. The former SAPS Special Task Force member has denied the allegations and says he intends to clear his name. He remains in custody with the matter postponed to the 18th of May. Magistrate Colin Mashihu.
The matter is referred to Brakpan Regional Court for bail application. The first date will be the 18th of May 2026, you'll remain in custody.
Gun-Free South Africa says the supply chain of firearms to gang bosses must be disrupted if government is serious about curbing gang violence. Shootings in the Western Cape have continued unabated since the SANDF was deployed to gang hotspots 3 weeks ago. The joint operation has yielded 21 arrests, mostly for possession of drugs, illegal guns and ammunition. Carlo Peterson has more.
Gun-Free South Africa Director Stanley Maposa says government should be doing more to disrupt the supply chain that allows guns to reach gangs. Maposa says after firearms are recovered, they should be ballistically tested and the public should be informed about where they originated from.
Whether they originated from civilians, from the state or cross-border, that information must be put in the public arena.
Maposa called for an audit of the state's firearms stockpiles and stricter control of legal firearms. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Persistent heavy rain across parts of the country has prompted the South African Weather Service to maintain yellow level 2 and level 4 warnings into the weekend. Earlier this week, heavy downpours triggered localized flooding in parts of the northwest, damaging roads and bridges in Limpopo, and they also kept emergency services on high alert in Gauteng. The forecasters now warn that the risk remains high, with more rain, strong winds and thunderstorms expected in several provinces. Mongezi Koko reports.
The wet conditions are linked to the La Niña phenomenon, a climate pattern where cooler than normal sea surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean shift global weather systems, often bringing above normal rainfall to southern Africa. While this is generally good news for dam levels and agriculture, it also increases the risk of flash flooding, infrastructure damage and dangerous travel conditions. Low-lying areas and informal settlements remain most at risk, where poor drainage and weak structures make communities more vulnerable to flooding and strong winds. Authorities are urging residents to avoid flooded areas, secure loose objects and keep up to date with official weather warnings. With the rain set to continue, disaster management teams across affected provinces remain on standby. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And the El Nino weather phenomenon that pushed global temperatures to record highs the last time around is expected to return this year. The United Nations Weather and Climate Agency says El Nino conditions could well develop as early as May. Experts also say early signs indicate a particularly strong event this time. El Nino is a naturally occurring climate phenomenon that warms surface temperatures, bringing worldwide changes in wind, pressure and rainfall patterns. The last El Nino contributed to making 2023 the second hottest year on record and 2024 the all-time high. It's a cloudy Friday afternoon in Gauteng with showers across the province. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 15 and 16 degrees.
The traffic, if you're leaving Midrand, there's an accident on the N1 South just after New Road on the right lane as it's causing slight delays. In the opposite direction, traffic is sluggish on the N1 North between the Patlu interchange and New Road.
The top story in EWN, the case against the man accused of killing a Madlanga Commission witness has been transferred to the Brakpan Regional Court for further bail proceedings.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
That's Thabo before he got naked. When Thabo's car broke down, he did what every manly man does best. Hit things, fiddle, and hope it works. So Thabo got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance in seconds and can now call roadside assistance anytime on the Naked app. Tools down, Thabo. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Attention all shoppers.
Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Whenever she fell or got hurt, a kiss always took the pain away. Honey and hugs helped at first when the coughing started. It's just a cold. Keep her warm and she'll be fine, we thought. I wish I could kiss RSV away too. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
2026 is going to be a year of firsts when the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon happens for the first time in May.
Love it.
And continues to push to becoming Africa's first major. So, join Cape Town and the rest of the world when we rise again to run for gold and make history.
That's what makes this one so special.
By turning Africa's biggest marathon into Africa's first major. Putting Cape Town on the marathon stage with some of the greatest cities in the world, like London, Paris, Tokyo, Berlin.
It doesn't get better than this.
The Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, 24 May 2026.
Get ready.
The 2026 Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, proudly supported by 702. Go to capetownmarathon.com for more.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi 702, Yolanda from Centurion. I would definitely agree with John. That John, he knows what he's talking about when he says that Bloemfontein Celtic fans are legendary when it comes to supporting and singing. They have that powerful ambience that they bring onto the stadium. As an Orlando Pirates fan, no, I've never seen that with any other team but Bloemfontein Celtic.
Afternoon, John. Ben here in Katlehong. I'm a Chiefs fan, but I have to agree with you. Siwelele were the good singers. I mean, it was just beautiful to watch them. They would sing the whole game. Yes, with their colors, the green colors. Siwelele.
Hi, John. It's Isaac from Orange Farm. I'm a Orlando Pirates fan. Oh, Zico Konda, Zico Baba. Ow! Hiole bakani, hiole bak. Uzobo ni baka.
Hi, John. Hope you're good and the 702 team and the listeners. I'm a Buccaneer fan by blood. You know, it's Gamakapula. You know, being a Buccaneer fan, like historically, football, you know, we come far. Like, Orlando Pirates is not just a team. There's something about it that, you know, there's something about it. Junior from Windsor East.
Yeah, so we asked you, what's the best thing about being a Chiefs fan? What's the best thing about being a Pirates fan? It seems the Pirates fans are getting their messages in. Chiefs fans, you're quiet. Boy Tumelo is calling from Western. You're also a Buccaneer. Good afternoon to you, Boy Tumelo. Do you remember what the first Pirates game you went to see was, and how long ago was that?
Sure, John, that was a long time ago. That was Orlando Stadium, old Orlando Stadium, where the players used to come from the top, you know, in the middle of the supporters.
Yes.
84, yeah.
Okay.
Just to,
veteran.
And I think, yeah, so I think since that, I have only missed handful of derbies since 1984. And, you know, Orlando Pirates, John, what makes us happy as supporters is 95% of the time we're happy, unlike our neighbors. So, and when it comes to fashion trend, you see how we dress. I mean, we dress like, you know, they dress to the nines. 1937 it was formed, And also if you look at the history, some of the Orlando Pirates meetings and the white players that played for Orlando Pirates in the 80s and apartheid government didn't want them to play, and they were put in the boot to go play for Orlando Pirates. For me, that history just is amazing. It's 1937 to now, survived close to, we're going to 100 years now. It's just a great story about.
Boitumelo, thank you. I mean, Chiefs will say, well, if we want to go back in time and look at a long history, there was a time when Chiefs were top dogs as well. Pirates certainly doing better at the moment, but a great game in prospect on Sunday. And of course, all of that in the context of a genuine title race. 18 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
And speaking of that title race, speaking of the derby, Tola Kele, good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And that clash takes place on Sunday as Orlando Pirates take on Kaizer Chiefs in the Betway Premiership at a sold-out FNB Stadium. The Buccaneers won their February meeting 3-0 and haven't lost to their rivals in the league since 2019. Despite all signs pointing to a victory, Andre de Jong says the Ghost cannot be complacent.
The PSL is a really tough league. I think on any given day, teams can show up like we saw with Stellenbosch last night and Sundowns. They can show up and really give you a good game. I think Chiefs have been in good form recently as well, which is a bit different to the first derby. So we are analysing them very, very hard, obviously, training really hard and our preparation's been good. So I think we do come into the Sunday with a lot of confidence, but also, as you say, humility of it's not going to be easy and we're up for a big challenge on Sunday.
The Buccaneers will be seeking a win that will keep them on top of the standings and ahead of title rivals Mamelodi Sundowns, while Chiefs are hoping to qualify for the CAF Confed Cup. Given Msimango has discussed if the Glamour Boys will be kingmakers, as they also have to play the Brazilians.
I didn't even know up until I was told about it that we are somehow holding the fate of both teams that are challenging for the league. But like I said, none of that plays any relevance to what comes on Sunday. For us, that's our sole focus, and we're only focusing on that.
Pitso Mosimane has disclosed that he was informally sounded out over the possibility of leading Ghana at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. He was linked with the job following the dismissal of Otto Addo back in March, while Carlos Queiroz has since been appointed to the role. Speaking on Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Mosimane confirmed that officials made initial contact, but those talks never progressed.
Call from a Ghana official for me is not a really serious talk. And also the other thing is, do I really want to go for 2 months for 1 game, 3 games, 4 games? No, maybe I don't want 3 games, 4 games, right? Because for whatever reason, maybe Carlos says, why not? Let me go have fun. Let me go to the World Cup again, So it depends how you see it.
The Turkish Grand Prix will return to the Formula One calendar in 2027 for the first time in 6 years, with the Istanbul Park circuit set to host races until at least 2031. The track is where Lewis Hamilton clinched his record-equaling 7th World Drivers' title back in 2020. At the same time, champions McLaren will have a completely new car when Formula One returns from a 5-week break at the Miami Grand Prix in May. There's been no racing in April because the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix were called off due to the Iran war and its impact on the Gulf region, and Mercedes have so far won all 3 races this season. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 4, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Khomotso Munyai is watching the roads for you. Here she is.
Thank you, John. If you are leaving Sandton heading towards Bedford View, the N3 South is heavily backed up from the Batlu interchange all the way through to the Galulis interchange. And in Edenvale, there's traffic pressure on the R24 West. This is also towards the Galulis interchange. And further down, look out for a stationary vehicle on the N12 West just before the Reading interchange, as it is causing some delays. If you're traveling on the M1 North, there's also some delays there from Athol Oaklands Road to Greyston Drive. And in Dobsonville, there's still that bumper-to-bumper traffic on Elias Mutwaledi Road with delays from Tepotemba Hospital. If you come across any other traffic, please do send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers and baths to basins, taps, tools and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide,
there's always a Plum Link near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
The Audi Open House sales event is now on until the 30th of April. It's the biggest Audi sales event of the year. Get your closest Audi dealership and you can test drive a wide range of Audi models, explore exclusive limited time offers, and stand a chance to win an Audi Formula One experience. If you've been waiting for the right time to experience Audi, this is it. Visit audi.co.za for more or to book your test drive. Terms and conditions apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
That's Amanda, before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus our attention now on the business of sport, specifically the business of cricket. An exclusive story published in the British newspaper The Guardian this week. The journalist Matt Hughes reports that Cricket South Africa has yet to secure a UK television rights deal for England's series in South Africa in December. 3 one-day internationals, 3 test matches. South Africa are the world champions. Yes, we know the blockbuster money series in terms of TV rights sales would always be the Ashes. Games against India. Every country makes more money when they play India than anything else. But for there not to, as things stand yet, a buyer for the TV rights for what should make for some very, very compelling cricket is somewhat surprising. So what's going on there? Let's welcome to 702 Drive our analyst Nqobile Ndlovu, who is the founder of Cash and Sport Research and Advisory. Mr. Ndlovu, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. South African Cricket South Africa has really turned the financials of the game around quite remarkably. 815 million rand, 815 that is, profit in 2023-24, 238 million rand profit in the last financial year with no incoming tours. But presumably TV revenue from a big series like England would be quite crucial. How much, if they can't get something over the line, how much of a setback would this be?
It's going to be a big setback because traditionally you'd have your revenues generally coming from your big incoming tours, as you said.
Right.
Now, when you have an incoming tour of England who are coming to South Africa, but their domestic broadcasters don't want to broadcast it, that's a major problem because you're losing out not only in that income, but it's income in pounds, which you would have gotten, which you don't get now. And the question is, will any other broadcaster outside of Sky take it up? And I don't think they might. TNT is it's a company which is owned by Warner, and that merger that's ongoing right now has essentially put every acquisition on hold. And until that happens, I don't see them coming up and saying, we'll take the rights that Sky doesn't want. And then on the other side, BBC, who is the other broadcaster, have been losing money hand over fist, and they've also stopped purchasing up rights, so much so that they're firing staff in order to kind of shore up the books. I don't know whether there's going to be a broadcaster here in England.
Yeah, I'm wondering, though, is this a reflection of a broader problem that T20 and the one-day game, much more easily packaged, probably bigger audiences and easier to sell ads because the time of the game is more concentrated. Is this a problem that's maybe got a manifestation well beyond this particular series?
Absolutely, I'd completely agree with you there. A 5-day test, which is an all-day event, is much more difficult to justify in terms of broadcasting. Whereas if you put in for example, during that time that the test will be happening, there will be darts going on in England at the same time.
Oh, right.
And it's crazy to think that you're now competing with darts for attention, but
Yes.
they've prioritized that. That's what for them kind of makes sense. So T20s, yes, I can understand, but especially the ODIs and the tests, I don't think are appealing enough for them anymore in order for them to want to invest in those.
Yeah, I mean, the implications are huge because on the one hand, we are world test champions. I'm probably part of a diminishing group of people who still believe that is the most interesting, entertaining and authentic version of the game. But the implications potentially for test cricket could be quite significant as well. I mean, if this scenario gets played out, for example, in a series between Australia and India, questions are going to be asked surely about where cricket itself is going.
Yeah, I think those series will still be fine.
Yes.
I think what Sky is saying here is that if it's not a premium event like a World Cup, a World Test Championship or something to that event, or an Ashes or a big series against England, we're not going to pay for it. So South Africa is essentially being put down as a third-class citizen here to say, outside of the World Test Championship or World Cup, you guys aren't that important to us. But if it then does spread to other matches, like an India series or something to that effect, I think it'll take quite a while for that to happen. But you can already see where the contagion may happen. A series against New Zealand or something to that effect. And the global implication would be that the ICC as the mother body generates a lot less revenue because
yes,
in those outgoing tours and all of that, a lot of that money then feeds back up to the ICC. And if they're not getting broadcast partners, it's a big problem for the ICC in terms of the financing of the global game of cricket.
Part of the context, just referring back to the story that Matthews wrote in The Guardian, published as an exclusive, TNT Sports does pick up rights when Sky, which has been Cricket South Africa's partner for more than 30 years now, when Sky don't pick them up. But there's general uncertainty, I would suggest, Ngobile, a lot in the media world at the moment because TNT's parent company is trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, or rather Paramount Skydance is trying to buy TNT's parent company, but there's regulatory issues and so on. And of course, we're having our own version of that, even if the Canal Plus multi-choice deal has been done. There's a fair bit of turbulence on our side too.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of turbulence all across the world. Kind of framework with regards to.
Just Ngobile, sorry to cut in there. Just not hearing you as clearly as we'd like. I wonder if you could just move around. Oops, he's moved around so far that we've lost him completely. We'll get him back. 702 Drive, 6 minutes to 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Great. We've got you back. I was just talking about general uncertainty in the broadcasting world. That could, of course, if I could just add a layer to that theme and say maybe there's opportunities there as well. We're seeing Netflix doing streaming of sport and so on. Might that be cricket's route out of trouble?
Yeah, I don't think that the Netflix route will be an exit for them. I've spoken to the Netflix team. They're not looking at doing major sports events outside of the really big single event type of things.
Right.
They might take a World Cup final or a big boxing fight, but they're not going to take an entire series because they've seen that their audiences don't stay engaged for that long, and it doesn't justify the cost over a long period of time. But I do think that that in the long term, there is definitely opportunity for the direct-to-customer play for some of these rights holders. If you look at what Formula One has done with Drive to Survive, the NBA League Pass, and things like that, because there will be situations where your rights are just not picked up as a sport.
Right.
And you have to still get that content in front of audiences. I foresee a world in a year or two's time where Rugby South Africa has their own streaming platform, where Cricket South Africa has their own streaming platform, where they stream content that isn't picked up by rights holders. And in the event that a rights holder does pick it up, they would ring fence some content for them, but still have other content for audiences so that in the event that they do not have any rights partnerships, they can then say, okay, cool, come to us directly, we'll charge you a subscription fee just for that series, and then go back to normal after that.
Well, thanks very much to Ngobile and Lovu. Very, very interesting scenario indeed. You may wonder, well, why would we bother? Whether English fans in England can actually watch the series between South Africa and England. Well, the bottom line is the sale of those rights is a crucial part of the income stream of Cricket South Africa. That said, last year when they had no incoming tours, I think any incoming tours at all, they managed to turn a very, very impressive profit, and that reflects the brilliant work that has been done at Cricket South Africa in general, but in particular with creating both excitement, audiences and funding out of the SA20 series. But yeah, it's a big change. I mean, I was living in England in the latter part of 1995, and we actually played a 5-test series against England all the way through until January, the 4th of January 1996. 5 test matches, and I remember having the TV on all the time. I was living in England at the time, freezing cold, sitting there wearing a woolen hat and watching South Africa play England in cricket. Those were the days, hey? But these are the days now. Lots of call us with that. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. 3 minutes to 4.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Sunday Leswanas, what do they say, the young kids, in terms of social media parlance? The ANC has unfollowed the SACP, or is it the other way around?
I think that by and large, the SACP has unfollowed the ANC. I always believed from the early days that the ANC will be saved from corruption by the SACP and COSATU. And I was wrong, but that potential was always there.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Rugby fans, get ready for a day the whole family will love. The Fidelity Secure Drive Lions roar into action this Saturday at Ellis Park, taking on Connacht in the Vodacom URC. And it's the kids' takeover round. Expect loads of fun, entertainment, activities, and best of all, kids under 18 get in free. Big hits, big vibes, and big smiles for the whole family. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now at ticketpro.co.za.
Outsurance business insurance, the cost was far less. I even have better benefits.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you get 24/7 access to panic assistance, roadside assistance, and even office assistance for guest houses, catering companies, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurance FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
We only needed dog food, that's all we went in for. Just kibble for our Archie, it really was nothing more. But then a squeaky chicken caught my beady eye, and a collar with a shiny bell, shampoo to wave the fleas bye-bye.
That's crazy, crazy, that's the crazy store. Went in for one small thing, came out with so much more.
The crazy store. Hey, you never know what you might find.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. Now, it's interesting. I read a story a couple of days ago that there's an expectation of a 30% increase in the price of condoms. Now, that's being linked to the crisis in the Gulf, spiraling, or rising rather, should I say, spiking oil prices all around the world. And that got me thinking and reading and looking and just seeing how many actual products that we use or sometimes don't use but end up consuming, whether we know it or not, are actually linked to the price of oil and its production and availability. We're going to explore that. It is a fundamental ingredient in literally hundreds of everyday items. Professor David Walwyn is a professor in the Graduate School of Technology Management at the University of Pretoria. He's my guest at 4:10. It's 4 o'clock now.
This is EWN.
Police keep a close watch on attacks on migrants in KZN, and Scopa wants the Road Accident Fund Board to account. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The acting Minister of Police has condemned attacks against migrants, warning that xenophobic violence will not be tolerated. This follows recent incidents of intimidation and looting in KZN, which authorities say undermine the rule of law and constitutional values. Police have been instructed to act decisively against those involved in violence or incitement. Mongezi Gogo reports.
The ministry says no individual or group has the right to take the law into their own hands, regardless of any grievances. It is urging communities to remain calm and work with law enforcement to prevent further violence. The police ministry spokesperson, Kamogelo Mkhotsi.
All those found to be participating in, inciting, or supporting such criminal conduct will be identified, apprehended, and brought before the courts.
Authorities are calling on community leaders and civil society to help promote dialogue and social cohesion. Mongezi Gogo, Eyewitness News.
Tshwane Metro Police suspended Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini has faced tough questions about his decision to communicate with the Metro CFOs about tenders through disgraced police officer Fani Nkosi. Dlamini is back before the Madlanga Commission after being suspended last month. His suspension followed testimony of his alleged involvement in the rigging of a 2.9 billion rand tender, with Nkosi, who is also suspended and now faces criminal charges. Khomotso Modise reports.
The Madlanga Commission spent some time today dealing with a message that suspended TMPD Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini sent to General Fani Nkosi, asking him that he make an inquiry with suspended Tshwane CFO Gareth Mnisi on two potential tender bidders. It's related to two men identified as Sipho and Muzi, who claim to be bidding for someone they referred to as CIC Juju and the EFF, but Dlamini says he later learned that the men were chancers who lied. But he's been asked about why he had to go through Nkosi when inquiring about these men with Mnisi.
This is about Tshwane business and the sort of thing you should inquire about directly from another Tshwane employee. It has nothing to do with familiarity. Why did you not pick up the contact list, get the number and call the CFO? What you are saying does not make sense at all.
The commissioners have asked Dlamini if he would have done anything different if he knew the men were from the EFF, but he's failed to give a clear answer, saying he would have advised them about the tender that they were inquiring about. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Members of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts want the Road Accident Fund Board to be held responsible for growing liabilities amounting to billions of rands. They say decisions taken by the board and management in unlawfully altering claim registrations, amongst others, have put the fund at serious financial risk. MPs were discussing the first draft of finance watchdog Scopa's RAF Oversight Inquiry report, which is nearing its completion. Mabalondenze reports.
The RAF inquiry has reached the end of business and has made some key findings on the entity's liabilities and how they dwarf the fund's annual income of about 50 billion rand. Action SA MP Ellen Beasley says the RAF is broken and says the potential liabilities could be bigger than estimated.
I mean, the RAF is broken. This is going to destroy the RAF, but more importantly, the impact on the fiscus, our country. You know, I put a figure of 500 billion on the table and many people laughed at me. It's going to be more than 500 billion.
Committee member Patrick Atkinson says management and the board must take accountability for the potential liabilities due to their decisions.
And basically, by continuing to allow an illegal board notice to be implemented, they have created a situation where this massive liability has grown far bigger than it should have.
The members say National Treasury must be invited to appear before the committee to give it an idea of the true cost of the RAF's liabilities. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
And Israel and Lebanon have extended their shaky ceasefire by 3 weeks. This has been announced by US President Donald Trump. The latest announcement comes as talks stall between the US and Iran to bring an end to the Middle East war. Tensions escalated in late February when Israel and the US launched attacks on Iran. In retaliation, Iran attacked various key points in the Gulf region. It also closed the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key waterway in the movement of oil. Gold is trading at $4,683.29 an ounce. The rand is at 16.54 to the dollar, 22.41 to the pound, 19.44 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $105.89 a barrel.
If you're heading towards Protea Glen, there's queuing traffic on the N12 as you approach the R558, and the M1 North remains a little congested from Ethel Oaklands Road to Greyston Drive.
In your sport, Orlando Pirates aim to complete the league double over Kaizer Chiefs. Pitso Mosimane reveals informal Ghana approach ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and Turkey to return to the Formula One calendar from 2027.
Morning fog in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated showers and thundershowers also expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 9 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 10 and 21, and Vereeniging 9 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The acting Minister of Police has condemned attacks against migrants, warning that xenophobic violence will not be tolerated.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. The number of goods that in one way or another make use of crude oil run into their thousands. Vaseline, condoms, plastic packaging, clothing and textiles, toilet seats, toolboxes, carpets. I could go on. I won't go on because we're going to analyze this and look at the implications of the crisis in the Gulf region when we look at the cost implications of the war that's currently going on. We tend to, well, I certainly do, think of the cost of fuel at the pump, and I just put some diesel in a couple of days ago, so I need no reminding of that. And then, of course, the knock-on effect of those high fuel prices on food and anything else that needs to be moved around, not to mention taxi fares. But all these other goods are set to cost more as well. Professor David Walwyn will be joining us from the University of Pretoria to help us analyze this. He is at the Graduate School of Technology Management at the University of Pretoria. Very much looking forward to that. Later in the hour, we'll be chatting to Randall Abrams. Randall's one song, he's got a lovely one today. And then much later in the show, a song, a book and a dish. Our guest today, former diplomat, director at Risk Recon, and regular guest on 702 in general and on this show in particular. We'll talk to Dr. Kingsley Makhubela. Listen to his song, his book, and his dish. In between all of that, closer look at some of the issues that have come up at the trial of Robert Mugabe's son, Bellarmine Mugabe, and the other person standing accused with him of a shooting in Hyde Park. That's after 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey, Ntate John, the 702 family. Icon. You know, being a Chiefs supporter, being a Chiefs fan, it's not something you choose. You are born into it, and it stays with you for the rest of your life. We have set the standard. We don't have a home game. All the games wherever we go, it's home game. Imagine Chiefs have struggled for 10 years to win a trophy, but we're still number one in South Africa, supported more than the national teams. And never fair to Chiefs is the best. Like Chiefs is, even after 10 years when we've been struggling, when it comes to supporters, everyone knows. When Chiefs fans are happy, the entire country is happy.
And Dr. John, we are not quiet, being the Perfeni boys. We are not quiet. We are people of peace, Dr. John. Let the noisemakers make a hell of hullabaloo, and Sunday is just around the corner. In soccer, there's no therefore. This does not mean if they beat us last time, they will beat us again. Chris from Kempton Park. Thank you, Dr. John.
Hey, Ntate John, the 702 family. Icon. You know, being a Chiefs supporter.
Okay, we are starting to hear from the Chiefs fans again. We didn't necessarily need to hear from one of them twice, but the question we asked you a little bit earlier in the show is, what's the best thing about being a Chiefs fan? What is the very best thing about being a Pirates fan? Keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 11 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Into the traffic we go, out of the traffic. Hopefully we will go. That will be if we listen closely to Khumotso Munyai. Good afternoon.
Indeed. Thank you, John. In Pretoria, as we will start, there has been an accident on the N1 North at the Flying Saucer interchange, adding to those peak time delays as you approach Waterkloof. The M1 North is moving really slow from Kola Drive all the way to the Betlu interchange with about a 20-minute hold up, so please be patient as you head into that direction. If you are leaving Sandton, the N3 South is still heavily backed up from the Betlu interchange all the way through to the Galulis interchange, and you can also brace yourself for those peak time delays. This is as you head towards Protea Glen on the N12 as you approach the R558. Also look out for faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Epsom and Malibongwe, and Rand Park Ridge at the N1 South and Beyers Nodia, in Four Ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino, as well as in Edenvale at Modderfontein and Van Rieberg. Traffic lights are also out in the city of Tshwane, in Centurion at the R55 and Summit, in Henops Park at Hendrik Verwoerd and Jacaranda Street, and in Centurion at John Foster Drive and the N1. Likewise, if you come across any other traffic on your side, please do send us a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Aubrey Masangu Show on 702.
I cover on my show issues of advisory, whether it is legal matters, whether it is financial matters. I cover day-to-day issues as far as current affairs are concerned. I cover the politics of the day and how we as South Africans are interpreting them. My listener is a curious 702 lander. They want to know what are the backstories, the stories behind what we are hearing on the airwaves. They want to understand what drives the different issues that have us talking. What I love about the 702 family and 702 land is the fact that we have 702 landers who are responsive, who are present, who care about their communities, and who want to know how they can be a part of the process of making our areas better, but also our country better. And that for me is a great privilege. I am totally indebted to the providence out there to be talking to these people on a daily basis.
The Aubrey Masangu Show, weekdays from 8 to midnight.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Jozi, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Mzansi, the excitement is building. The 130th running of the Hollywood Bets Durban July takes place on Saturday, 4 July. This year's theme, Country Allure, draws from the richness of our land. A celebration of heritage, freedom and style, inspired by our beautiful countryside. It's more than a race. It's where champions are made, stories are written, and greatness is unleashed. World-class horse racing, bold fashion, music, culture, and a day of endless excitement at Hollywood Bets Greyville Racecourse. Get your early bird ticket now at Ticket Pro for just 250 Rand. Available now until 6 May 2026. Get ready to release your glamour at the Hollywood Bets Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing and social event.
Mavis, I wonder if I should sell my car. I'm not sure where to go.
Wanna sell your car, but don't know what to do. You don't have to go far, we come to you. If you're rolling on a 1.5 or a Lacquer 2.2, doesn't matter what you drive, we buy cars once you.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
702 Drive with John Perlman was in conversation with PPS, discussing their record 2025 profit share.
A second good year in succession, 2025 even better. How have you managed to achieve this?
Mainly two sources of profit. One is operating profit. That's mainly underwriting profit. So that is from the insurance business. Then what do we do with that profits? We allocate it to our members, but in profit share accounts that stay on balance sheet. That's our capital. Remember, we're a mutual business and we invest it. And then, of course, if the investment markets do their thing, there's extra profit to declare the next year. So as we know, 2025, probably against all expectations, was a brilliant year in the investment markets, especially local and even overseas equities.
Visit pps.co.za today and experience how mutuality can add up for you. PPS, success is better shared.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So I don't need to tell you about the implications and consequences of what's going on in the Gulf, the rise in the price of petrol and diesel, the costs that are going to start making their way through all sorts of goods. Food needs to be moved around, the elements involved in the production of food. Similarly, all of that is going to be affected. But I have been giving some thought, prompted, as I said, by a story about an already existing increase in the price of condoms worldwide. And that got me thinking and reading a little bit about all those other things that are made in one way or another from crude oil. And the list is really extensive. I'm not sure if extensive does it justice. So let's try and understand exactly what's going on here. And welcome to the show, David Walwyn. He's Professor Emeritus in the Graduate School of Technology Management at the University of Pretoria. Prof, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Just looking at this list, there's hardly anything that doesn't, it would seem, and one way or another come into contact with oil. Can we assume that the rising price of crude will affect every single one of those?
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. Wonderful to be on 702. Let me just start by saying that the one thing that's not on that list is condoms.
Yes.
And I say that because the raw material for condoms is actually latex, which is derived from natural rubber.
Okay.
So it's probably quite insensitive to the cost of diesel or petrol or crude oil.
Okay.
And I think the company Carex, they make about 1 in 5 condoms in the world, and they've announced this price increase of 30%. I think they're just opportunistic.
Taking a chance. Okay.
Exactly. They're taking a chance.
Fair enough.
Actually, only about 10% of the cost of production of a condom is due to transport, which is where you could say that there are some oil-related costs. And even if transport were to double in price, that would still only mean something like a 10% cost increase in the cost of production for condoms.
Right, let's get into the other ones.
Condoms are not on the list, but there are many, many items that are on the list. Plastic packaging, obviously petrol and diesel, and then a huge volume of, suite of products, if you like, that are derived from crude oil, from the process of refining, and then the conversion of all of the refinery products such as propylene and butylene into downstream products. So, oil finds its way into a remarkable broad range of consumer products, and generally there is a knock-on effect. So if the price of crude oil doubles as it has in the last while, you can expect a multiplier of about between 2 and 10%. So in other words, a doubling of the price in petrol, so it's an increase of 100%, you could expect over a 1 to 2 year period that consumer prices will rise by between 2% and 10%.
So
not a huge increase, I must say.
So if you're looking at a foodstuff that is, let's say it's a crop of some kind that comes to you in a plastic container, do you get multipliers on virtually every element? So let's say it's peanut butter, for example. The peanuts, the moving of the peanuts to the place where it gets turned into peanut butter, the plastic container, the movement of the finally packaged product from the factory to the supermarkets, etc., etc. I mean, is it an arithmetic progression where you just add 2 plus 2 plus 2, or does it go 2, 4, 8, 16?
It's on, as you say, it's on almost every step. There's something that taints, if you like,
Yes.
or is derived from oil. And so oil energy costs are fundamental in the economy, and if the price of energy goes up in the form of crude oil, then prices are going to rise. There's going to be a price pressure on that item. So the 2% doesn't multiply. I was talking about the overall increase in consumer items would be between 2 and 10%, but depending on what the item is. If you just go back to your example of the food product, packaging is typically about 15 to 20% of the cost of a food product, and if the price of oil doubles, then the price of packaging would go up by between 50 and 70%. And so the knock on a price of the food item, which is now on the shelf, is going to be between 2 and 10% increase in that price. But I think the point, in a way, which is completely valid, is that oil is a foundational product in all of our lives, regardless of where you look. And so it might just be in the price of petrol and diesel, so in the transport cost,
right?
But it's also in the finished products that we use. So in the agricultural case, it would be in the packaging, but it's also an input cost in anything to do with the agricultural activities. So someone's got to plow a field, and the tractor's going to use diesel,
right?
And then in the transport of the product to the depot is going to be petrol or diesel, and then in the processing of that product in some kind of food manufacturing facility, they may well use diesel. They might use electricity, but some diesel comes from diesel. So all along, you just get this knock-on effect.
Right.
But overall, it's not like because the price of crude oil doubles, we're going to pay double the price for peanut butter and 30% more for condoms.
So one of the things that I found really interesting with the trawler I've been doing, Prof, is how many things we actually ingest are in one way derived from oil. And the one that I'm just looking at now is aspirin, acetyl salicylic acid. I can do this. It contains a hydrocarbon called benzene that originates from coal tar, which in turn is a product of crude oil. I mean, many people will be surprised to realize that things they're ingesting actually go back to oil in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, acetyl salicylate is quite an interesting example. Fortunately, it's not derived from benzene because benzene is a carcinogen and it's not used as a raw material. Predominantly for acetyl salicylate. I also struggle with that. But whatever the raw material is, it's derived from the chemical industry, and the chemical industry gets most of its raw materials from the refining of crude oil. So in one way or another, the raw material for the manufacture of aspirin derives from one of the byproducts of the refining of crude oil. And it's, I think in that example, the volume of the acetyl salicylate market is quite small compared to the production and stockpiling, if you like, of its principal raw materials. So I would think that aspirin price of the packaging or in the price of the transport. But I mean, it's very interesting that obviously if you are a courier company and one of your principal raw materials is going to be petrol or diesel, that goes up double in price, then you have to put your price up for your customers by 30%. So in that case, it's entirely justified that you would see a sudden increase. But the other thing about the oil market, which is very important to understand, is that much of the oil market works on long-term contracts. So although the spot price might double in over a period of a couple of weeks, as we've seen as a result of dire straits, that's not going to be translated into long-term price increases for many countries which use long-term contracts. South Africa is just this rather unique example because the monthly price of petrol is adjusted based on the spot market price in Singapore of ex-refinery petrol and diesel. And so we see a very quick adjustment in long-term prices on petrol and diesel, which is unusual as a consequence of movements in the spot price. And of course, it has an upside and a downside. We see the increases very suddenly, but we also see the decreases very suddenly. So our price is not tied into long-term contracts at inflated prices, or very complicated, but there's good news and bad news.
Thank you so much, Professor David Walwyn. He's Professor Emeritus in the Graduate School of Technology Management, and he is at the University of Pretoria. 7:02 Drive, it's 26 minutes past 4. We'll bring you the very latest business news in a moment. And then coming up after 5 o'clock, one of the things that has emerged in the trial proceedings ongoing today of Palapala Mugabe, son of the former Zimbabwe president, as I'm sure you know, his cousin Tobias Matonodze, is that the victim in the shooting incident, according to evidence put before the court, is going to receive 400,000 rand in compensation, presumably from the men accused and people associated with them. What are the implications of that for a criminal case? We'll talk about that after 5 with criminal law expert Ulrich Roux. Is there anything to prevent this kind of payment? But are there means as well of ensuring that a payment like that doesn't interfere with the course of justice? It's quite complicated. We were chatting about it a little bit earlier, and I lost count of the number of times I said, I don't really know. But Ulrich Roux does. He'll be with us after 5. 27 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702. EWN Business.
Very good afternoon to Stephen Curtis. Stephen, after a bit of a walloping yesterday, a little bit better today, but the word accent of the emphasis more on little than better.
I'm afraid so, John. I mean, that's right. It really is still watching the oil price, which, goes up to $105 a barrel, although the US is more optimistic than us that this will come to an end. Their market's just opening as well. The oil share at the moment on the JSE up 0.38%, 116,893 points. Financials are down 0.26. Industrials are up 0.5%. Resources are up 1.1%. Interesting to see that, actually, considering everything else that's happening around. It's not really what you would expect to see, but that's where they are at the moment. We can see that Mondi is down by 8% on the day, and this is something we've seen over the last 6 months. A little bit of bad news, and you really get punished. The packing and the paper and packaging company saying it's been able to increase the volumes of product it's sold, but that was offset by lower average selling prices. They say energy costs are rising and expects those to have a bigger impact later in the year. It'll have no choice but to raise prices in response, and that'll probably impact sales volumes going forward. But Mondi, as we know, there's overcapacity in that market. It's been struggling with weak demand. None of this will help them with that. They've also sort of combined with some other producers to cut production. So a lot going on there. Impala Platinum, they're reporting their sales volumes up by 9.2% for the 3 months ending in March. Its year-to-date sales are up 3%. Overall, refined and saleable production for the 3 quarters is up 5%. Interesting, a big increase in open pit volumes in Zimbabwe. And then Rustenburg, world's deepest mines, they were up by 16% production there. So it does seem to be motoring along quite nicely at the moment. We do see that Tungela is down 2.84%. Fortress B Properties, they're down 4.5%. Kumba Iron Ore down 2%. And Clicks, I thought quite a strong update yesterday. They were down on the day, though, because of their concerns about a weaker outlook. They're down again today. They're down 2%. And Valterra, also in the platinum space, down 2%. While Anglo giving up some of yesterday's gains. They're up 1.65%. British American Tobacco, one of the big winners, John. Good defensive stock in these troubled times. They're up 3.34%. Anglo Gold's up 2.86%. And then Boxer, they've had a pretty good week. They're up 2%. And Sasol, of course, benefiting from higher oil prices. They're up 1.98%. While Harmony is up 1.46. In the US, as I say, a bit more optimistic, not by much. It is earnings season there as well. So the Dow Jones is down a third, but the Nasdaq is up 0.7 and the S&P 500 is up 0.25% at the moment. The gold price, $4,723.34 an ounce. Platinum, $2,018.90. Brent crude, $105.16. The rand weakening, I'm afraid, to the dollar, 16.55, to the euro, 19.38, to the British pound, 22.35. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Back with us at about 25 minutes past 5. Right now it is 4:30. It's time to update you on the very latest eyewitness news. Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Home Affairs has dismissed 7 more officials, bringing the total number of dismissals to 63 since July 2024, as the department intensifies its crackdown on misconduct. 16 more officials have also been suspended, with actions linked to internal disciplinary processes and findings from the Special Investigating Unit. Authorities say the move forms part of a broader effort to root out corruption and restore integrity within the department. Mongezikoko reports.
Since the formation of the Government of National Unity, Home Affairs has initiated 95 misconduct cases, with 75 already finalized. The department says this reflects a more aggressive and consistent approach to consequence management aimed at dealing with wrongdoing swiftly and decisively. Home Affairs has long faced criticism over fraud, bribery and administrative failures, particularly around ID documents, passports and immigration services. Minister Leon Schreiber.
Pace at which Home Affairs is now processing disciplinary matters, resulting in these ongoing dismissals and other disciplinary action, demonstrates our unwavering commitment to cleaning up the damage done to this department over many years.
He adds that officials found guilty of misconduct will be dealt with immediately. Mongezikoko, Eyewitness News.
Western Cape Police are probing a spike in shootings across several Cape Town communities this week, with 4 murders and 4 attempted murder cases reported in the recent days. In Bishop Levis, residents are living in fear of a retaliation attack after a suspected gang leader was shot dead in that area yesterday. This week, other fatal shootings were recorded in Steenberg, Grassy Park in Kensington. Carlo Peterson has more.
On Tuesday, Steenberg police opened murder and attempted murder cases after a man was shot and killed and another wounded on the corner of St. Alexander Circle and St. Christopher Avenue. Yesterday, a 25-year-old man was shot and killed in 14th Avenue, Grassy Park, while in Kensington, a 33-year-old man was shot dead in 6th Avenue. A suspected gang leader was also shot dead near the corner of Jakkalsvlei Avenue and Valhalla Drive in Kalksteenfontein, near Bishop Levis yesterday. Police spokesperson FC van Wyk says another man was wounded in the shooting.
According to reports, the two were driving from Bonteheuwel towards Kalksteenfontein when a blue-color Audi vehicle passed and the occupants randomly started shooting at them.
Meanwhile, in Manenberg, 2 people were shot and injured yesterday in Duinefontein Road near Nyanga Junction. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has touched down in Saudi Arabia for security talks. This is his second trip to that country in the recent weeks. It's understood that first on his agenda is meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Zelensky has brokered closer ties with several states in the Gulf amid the US-Israeli war with Iran striking defense deals. Saudi Arabia has maintained good relations with both Kyiv and Moscow and has hosted talks with officials searching for an end to the Russian invasion. Morning fog in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated showers and thundershowers also expected. Lows of between 9 and 10 degrees and highs of between 19 and 22.
If you are heading towards Protea Lane, there's still some queuing traffic on the N12 as you head towards the R558. And in Edenvale, there's slow-moving traffic on the R24 West as you get closer to the Galulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, Home Affairs has dismissed 7 more officials, bringing the total number of dismissals to 63 since July of 2024.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
My show is about getting you informed by the time you get to the office, your place of business, or wherever you need to go. Hopefully, you have a fairly good idea what's happening in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and around the world. We want you to be part of those water cooler conversations, and you will be part of those conversations because you'll be a better informed citizen. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is the ecosystem that we have built, the community. It's all about connection because we may be different, but ultimately the people you talk to and the people you hear are facing issues just like you.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that brings us all together. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi Majozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be a part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702 and get ready for the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. More on primemediaplus.com.
That's Fani before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really funny meme he posted in the group chat. What? So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
In business, missed deliveries cost more than money. Go Girl Logistics is South Africa's 100% black female-owned Level 1 Triple BEE powerhouse, delivering secure, time-sensitive transport for parcels, cold chain cargo, and compliance waste. With DG trained drivers, cold chain certification, national reach, and real-time tracking, every load is handled professionally, safely, and on time. Go Girl Logistics. Power beyond cargo. Visit gogirl-logistics.com.
If you run a small business, you'll know growth doesn't happen by chance. It takes the right support. That's where MTN Business comes in.
At the core of MTN Engagement Services, it's tools that allow businesses to communicate, to be smarter in how they communicate, and also at the same time do it in a rapid and agile way. We're talking about things like chatbots, rich business media, about SMS and WhatsApp for business. They enable two-way communication with the audience that they serve.
To find out more ways MTN Business can support your growth, join the next conversation. Wednesday on the afternoon drive, MTN Business. Let's talk shop on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. As a Sundowns fan, I'm saying there is nothing right or nothing interesting about being a Chiefs or Pirates fan. So this weekend, I'm going to be the friend of Chiefs, not because I like it, because obviously I want them to beat Pirates. When they disappoint, I'm not going to feel any bad or any pain, but it will be nice for Chiefs to win against Pirates. So I'm going to be a friend of Chiefs this weekend. As we know, that friends are not permanent in soccer. Yeah, so this weekend, as a Sundowns fan, I'm going to be on the side of Kaizer Chiefs.
Rob from Sandton. This Bellarmine Mugabe case, you can just bet your bottom dollar that political strings are being pulled and he will get special preferential treatment. He will be slapped with a fine, with some kind of a suspended sentence, and he will be promptly deported. He will not spend a single day more in jail. Watch this space. Bottom line, they have not made full disclosure. The weapon has not been found. Therefore, the plea deal should be declared null and void, and he should be imprisoned. He has not made full disclosure.
Hi, Tata John. Let me change the direction a bit. I am a staunch Pirates supporter, but when I had a restaurant, I got an antagonistic type of the feeling, simply because when Chiefs won the derby, I made more money in my restaurant than when Pirates won. So yeah, just in as much as rivalry, but let me give the Chiefs their due, that their supporters do spend more than us the Pirates fans. I've got it on records with my books. Jimmy here. Thanks.
It's such an interesting take, actually. I mean, which is better for small business, the entertainment business in particular, catering and so on? Do you make more money? Jimmy says he makes more money when Chiefs win. And in the league, that would be a long time ago. It's all the way back, I think, to 2019. We asked you the best thing about a Chiefs fan and what might be the worst. It's 19 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, you've got the Chiefs captain, but before we hear from Brandon Peterson, your Derby Day prediction, please. Score.
2-0.
Yeah.
I can't say who's going to win,
No,
otherwise
you
my
can, you
friend
have
who's
to.
listening will have too much fun with
Okay,
this.
so that's Pirates 2, Chiefs 0, yeah?
If you say so, John. Those
I
words
say so.
never left my lips.
I say so. That's not my prediction. It's my interpretation of your rather cagey prediction. Chief skipper, what's he saying?
While John Brandon Peterson will hope to captain Kaizer Chiefs to a first Soweto Derby League win over Orlando Pirates since 2019. That's when the two rivals clash on Sunday. The goalkeeper missed the February meeting after he underwent emergency appendix surgery on the eve of their 3-0 loss. And ahead of the sold-out clash at the FNB Stadium, Peterson has discussed how important the game is for him as he targets being called up for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Yes, in the back of my mind, there's always national team. But what's going to take me there is my performance at club level. My focus is at club level because that's going to open the doors for me. So for me, it's important to make sure that we finish strong as a team, not just me as an individual. There's 6 games to go. So for me, it's important to just make sure that I can finish, in the best shape as possible for me and the rest will follow.
Vice Captain Thapelo Qoki is still not fit enough to return to the Pirates squad for this game as he continues his recovery from a serious knee injury sustained in September. He's discussed what it's been like to sit on the sidelines as the Buccaneers attempt to end their 14-year wait to win the championship.
I'm enjoying the process because it's also teaching me a lot about myself. It's teaching me a lot of how you can contribute without doing what you love the most, which is to play football. It's also teaching me a lot about leadership also. To play, it's one thing, but to lead without playing, it's another thing. And it's one moment that I've enjoyed and I didn't think I will enjoy, but I'm grateful for the journey and I'm grateful for life as well.
UEFA have banned Benfica winger Gianluca Prestini for 6 matches after an alleged racist incident in their Champions League clash against Real Madrid in February. UEFA have banned the Argentine for discriminatory conduct, with 3 of those matches suspended for a 2-year period. The winger was provisionally banned from the second game after Vinicius Jr. accused him of racism. That's when they clashed in the first leg on the 17th of February. Prestini denied those allegations. Switching over to cricket, where the Proteas women will go in search of a whitewash when they take on India in their 4th T20 tomorrow. With the series now won, Chloe Tryron has discussed what the other goals are for the team.
It's everything coming together. Batting has improved a lot, and I feel like our bowling has come a long way, especially after a tough New Zealand series. I still think our fielding probably is something that we can work on. I think the good thing about playing against India and obviously not doing well in the field is we're still winning matches. So hopefully all of that can come together and we can put a perfect performance. So yeah, we got 2 big important games still coming up, building blocks for us. But yeah, if we can just tighten up on those small things, it'll give us really good confidence going into a World Cup.
And Mitchell Starc has been cleared by Cricket Australia to play in the IPL after recovering from shoulder and elbow injuries. The fast bowler hasn't played since the Ashes in late January. That's where he played all 5 tests and took 31 wickets in Australia's 4-1 win over England. He subsequently played 5 matches in the Big Bash League for the Sydney Sixers, which is when he suffered the injuries while fielding. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, out onto the roads we go as the long weekend approaches. You know, because I'm working on Monday and because I'm working on Friday, I just hadn't occurred to me that it's a long weekend, but it is. So if any of you, by the way, are getting through the traffic as part of a longer trip somewhere, going somewhere special, tell us about it if you feel like it. Maybe there's a special family thing you're on your way to celebrate and enjoy. Let us know about that as well. How's the traffic, though?
Nothing special about the traffic, John, except for heavy delays on the N3 South from the Baklu interchange all the way through to Galuli's interchange. Adding to that is an accident just before the Elands interchange. There's also an accident in the opposite direction on the N3 North. This one is just before the Geldenhuys interchange. The roads are quite slippery, so you might want to ease off the accelerator just a little bit. The M1 North is also keeping us busy today as it's moving quite slowly from Glenhove Road all the way to the Baklu interchange. Maybe you might want to come tell me what's really happening there. In the opposite direction, give yourself some extra time for those peak time delays on the M1 South from Killarney Benz all the way to the Crown interchange. And lastly, as you are leaving Centurion, traffic is congested on the N1 North at the from the Flying Saucer interchange all the way to Waterkloof. I'll have more details, updates rather, at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We will not complicate Tolakele's life by telling you what color she is wearing today.
John, let me tell you something. So black has been my color of the year.
Oh.
Every time that team from across the road wins,
Yes.
their supporters accuse me of being an underground supporter. No, it just happens
And
to
it
be
suits
my
you
color
so
of the year.
Yeah, and it's actually a very stylish shirt. So
Yeah.
let's park my silly comment and get into this. Tolakele, I mean, you know, adulting is hard. All the responsibilities, work, yes, we love what we do, but, you know, it can be a lot as well. But what is the most underrated good thing about being an adult? Because I think we tend to dwell on the challenges, difficulties, but it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. The most underrated thing is having my own money and being able to have the freedom to say, I want to do this, even if it
Yes.
costs me like later in the month. It still brings me the memories and I'm happy about it. And no one can take that away from me.
Sometimes people say one of the nicest things is you can go to bed whenever you like. The irony, though, is don't you find that increasingly we go to bed around the time when we were ordered to go to bed as kids? What's that all about?
I always set my do not disturb to 10. And by the time,
Yes.
like even if when I'm watching a Champions League match, there's always that voice in the back of my head like, babes, you're going to be tired in the morning.
Yes.
So I can still, like, you still have to keep a routine when it comes to going to bed and waking up in the morning. But it's nice the fact that after a long day, you don't have to take care of other things. You can just simply say, I want a bath and I'm done.
Yeah. You have school tomorrow, though. Well, not tomorrow, but you know what I mean. So how about you, Khumotso? Underrated delights of being an adult.
Yeah, no, same. I think there's a little bit of power that you have when you get a little
Yes.
bit older that you can use for absolutely any and everything. And if you were younger, or when you were younger, you were always told, you'll get this when you're older, or you'll only be able to do this when you're older. Once you reach that older, you're like, I'm here now.
Yeah.
What were you saying? I got it now. You know, I
Yes,
can get it
yes.
now. So, yeah, no, I think that just that little bit of power is really good. And I think it depends about on your responsibilities as well. I think if you are maybe a family person, it's a little bit tricky, you know? But I think
Yes.
if you are a single girl living your best life, I think, yeah.
Underrated things about being an adult. Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 072 7021 702. And by the way, just to remind you, if you are using the long weekend, maybe some of you have taken leave Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That gives you not only a long weekend, but a long chunk of time because it's May Day on Friday. Maybe you've got a thought on that and how you might make the best use of that big block of time. Your stories and what you're looking forward to, please. 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes now to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
We do this every Friday. We welcome to the show Randall Abrams. We call it Randall's One Song, and Randall is always with us with a song he's picked out for a very good reason, with a whole bunch of good stories and information to share with us, and not just the music itself. Randall, a very good afternoon to you. The artist you've picked today actually came up in a conversation we were having when we were doing music at the end of the show. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, but we were talking about best trios. Somebody mentioned TLC, and you've got him for us today. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, a very successful trio, so selling, millions of albums, and also very, very successful in terms of awards. They were formed in the early 1990s in Atlanta, and we're playing a song today from their most successful album, Crazy Sexy Cool. They were really at their height. They were on LaFace Records, which was Babyface's label, distributed by Arista. The album is Crazy Sexy Cool, and they were fantastic in that they had some really, really great, memorable songs. They also were very, very successful from a video point of view. So in the heyday of MTV, they worked with some amazing producers, including Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, the aforementioned Babyface, and then Organized Noise, of course. They had contributions from Sean Puffy Combs. And as I say, this album, 12 times platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. And the great thing about the group is that they all had quite distinctive styles, but it worked as a group. So Lisa Left Eye Lopez, obviously known for from a rap point of view. The late Lisa Left Eye Lopez, of course. And then the others kind of more from a soul and funk background, but we're going to play one of their biggest hits, Creep, and I guess in the 1990s that song also resonates with fans of Radiohead, as it's one of the most famous tunes that Radiohead made.
Well, we're going to be listening to the TLC version. Randall mentioned awards, 2 nominations for the song at the 38th Grammys, and a win in the category of Best R&B Performance by a duo or group. So this is Grammy Award-winning stuff. It's called Creep. TLC with Creep came out in 1994 on their second studio album, Crazy Sexy Cool. Randall, something struck me as really interesting looking at the Wikipedia page about the song. It absolutely killed it in the United States. US Billboard Hot 100 and Billboard #1. We've often spoke about the way music moves around the globe, but somehow this song just didn't really get audience and appreciation in other parts of the world. Mostly American hits, I would have thought, have at least some kind of reverb in other parts of the world. Do you have any thought about why this one didn't?
Absolutely, John. It's a really good point that you raise. So there are two music critics who were writing kind of in 2015, 2016, and saying just how important the influence of TLC was on the modern R&B landscape, in that hip-hop was really such an important part of their sound. As I said earlier, between Chili, T-Boz, and Left Eye, they brought very different things to the mix. They were able to, as I say, very, very great rapper Lisa Left Eye Lopez. And I think that at that time, hip-hop's influence in R&B wasn't as understood in the rest of the world. With respect, everything was still pretty kind of, even into the 2000s, if you look at the British chart, it's very kind of sing-along pop, right?
Right.
You've still got Robbie Williams and Take That and those sorts of groups being very, very successful. And obviously, I mean, the Spice Girls, right? But the influence of hip-hop inside R&B music hadn't been felt as much, and I think wasn't as understood as well in the rest of the world. But certainly if you look at it now, the landscape has obviously changed.
Yes,
and
indeed.
hip-hop has influenced every corner of R&B music.
And just a last one, right at the beginning, Randall, you spoke about how the three singers all brought very, very different things. And I just want your take on the kind of challenge for songwriters, producers, sound engineers, and so on. I mean, is that generally an advantage? I mean, some people will think, well, if you're putting a group together, you want a kind of maybe less of a range, more of a kind of harmony between the three sounds. But here you're suggesting this worked because of the differences.
Absolutely. And I think that the producers that were chosen, especially, Jermaine Dupri, those sorts of guys, were looking at the influence of hip-hop, New Jack Swing. They were looking for a group or groups that could do both the kind of vocal and the rapping. And you'll remember that even, they did production work, of course, for Michael Jackson, and he then would bring other people to contribute from a rapping point of view. That's what the big stars were doing at the time, because, they were individuals, but in this case, you had a group that could deliver on all those elements.
Yeah, fascinating as always. Thank you so much. Randall Abrams with Randall's One Song. We'll do it with him again at the same time next Friday.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja. 1 to 3 p.m.
So would you say that Africa is still seen as a mission ground with a leader of that stature coming through to visit?
Why? Africa remains to a certain extent a missionary territory. However, it is no longer the same as it was 5 decades ago, because we are now seeing a turnaround in terms of the work of evangelization. There is no doubt in our mind, and there is data to prove my claim, that Catholicism in the African continent is on the rise. And this papal visit is a testimony to that. It is an acknowledgement of that reality.
Associate Secretary General of the SACBC, Father Nkanka Nkunu.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Breathe in, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. In, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. Again. In, insurance. Out, pineapple. Again and again.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions, and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win, all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
You're with John Perlman
on 702. This is EWN.
Kachalia worried about morale in the police service amid Madlanga allegations, and Scopa wants Road Accident Fund Board to account. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says after what has come to light at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, he is concerned about the morale of police officers. Since September last year, the Commission has laid alleged links between senior politicians, police bosses and criminal syndicates bare. This week, President Cyril Ramaphosa suspended National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola after he was charged with contravention of the Public Finance Management Act in the Pretoria Magistrates Court. Kachalia says the Commission's revelations are taking their toll on officers.
From where they're sitting, they're watching the situation at the top of uncertainty and, frankly, of factionalism, apparently, and of malfeasance.
He adds that this is not what the police officers want to see in their leadership.
My message to the leadership, who should not all be tarred with the same brush, is that they have a responsibility to assist, to ensure that we are able to restore their trust.
Suspended Deputy Chief of the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Umashi Dlamini, has denied having any dealings with the city's CFO, Gareth Mnisi, despite being presented with WhatsApp messages suggesting so. Dlamini returned to the Madlanga Commission today to testify on the awarding of tenders, including the 2.9 billion rand contract that went to a company linked to disgraced police officer Fani Nkosi. Dlamini was suspended last month, after testimony implicating him in tender interference at the TMPD. Khomotso Modise has more.
The Madlanga Commission has spent the day asking suspended TMPD Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini about odd communication between himself and Sergeant Fani Nkosi on the awarding of tenders. Dlamini has testified that in one instance he received an inquiry from people purporting to be from the EFF wanting him to influence a tender, and he asked the city's CFO Gareth Mnisi whether they were on a list, but he sent this communication through Nkosi. Commissioner Sisi Baloyi questioned him about this.
I don't have any dealings with the CFO.
You have dealings with the CFO through Sergeant Nkosi. You keep saying, tell him forward to this, give this to him forward to, and you've agreed that forward to is the CFO, unless you want to change that part of your evidence.
Dlamini is accused of rigging the awarding of tenders as head of internal affairs, together with the Metro CFO, Gareth Mnisi, who has also testified before the Commission. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Members of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts want the Road Accident Fund Board to be held responsible for growing liabilities amounting to billions of rands. They say decisions taken by the board and management in unlawfully altering claim registrations, amongst others, have put the fund at serious financial risk. MPs were discussing the first draft of Finance Watchdog Scopa's RAF Oversight Inquiry Report, which is nearing completion. Babalondenze reports.
The RAF inquiry has reached the end of business and has made some key findings on the entity's liabilities and how they dwarf the fund's annual income of about 50 billion rand. Action SA MP Ellen Beasley says the RAF is broken and says the potential liabilities could be bigger than estimated.
I mean, the RAF is broken. This is going to destroy the RAF, but more importantly, the impact on the fiscus, our country. You know, I put a figure of 500 billion on the table and many people laughed at me. It's going to be more than 500 billion.
Committee member Patrick Atkinson says management and the board must take accountability for the potential liabilities due to their decisions.
And basically, by continuing to allow an illegal board notice to be implemented, they have created a situation where this massive liability has grown far bigger than it should have.
The members say National Treasury must be invited to appear before the committee to give it an idea of the true cost of the RAF's liabilities. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News.
And Israel and Lebanon have extended their shaky ceasefire by 3 weeks. This has been announced by U.S. President Donald Trump. The latest announcement comes as talks stall between the U.S. and Iran to bring an end to the Middle East war. Tensions escalated in late February when Israel and the U.S. launched attacks on Iran. In retaliation, Iran attacked various key points in the Gulf region. It also closed the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key waterway in the movement of oil. Gold is trading at $4,685, 3 cents an ounce. The rand is at 16.43 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.41 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $106.89 a barrel.
If you're traveling on the M1 South, there's slow-moving traffic from the Killarney Bends to the Crown interchange, and in the opposite direction, the M1 North remains a little bit congested from Glenhove Road all the way to the Butlu interchange.
In your sport, Orlando Pirates looking to consolidate top spot in the Betway Premiership against a resurgent Kaizer Chiefs. Arsenal haven't given up on Premier League title race despite blowing 9-point lead. And Proteas women targeting complete performances in final 2 T20s against India.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated showers and thunder showers also expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 9 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 10 and 21 and Vereeniging 9 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says after what has come to light at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, he is concerned about the morale of police officers.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 5 if you're heading out onto the road because this is a long weekend. Of course, some of you are just simply heading home or going to wherever you need to be next on a regular Friday. But if you're making one of those longer trips, we wish you well in particular on the road. Hopefully you're going off to do something great or connect with people you haven't seen for a while. And if you're going to the Derby on Sunday, hope you got tickets, hope you got them. Get there nice and early and make sure you get yourself a good, safe seat. And as I always ask, because this for me is the wonder of live sport, is anyone going to their first ever derby match? Is anyone taking a family member or a friend or a loved one or a young kid in particular to the derby for the very first time? That's a story I'd love to hear about as well. I'm keen to know as well if there's any response to what Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia said, highlighted a moment ago in that report there that was part of Mbali Dlamini's bulletin. We've often asked during Madlanga whether people's morale is severely affected by what they're hearing. Obviously, me as a citizen, I'm affected by some of the things I hear and the arguments that I hear offered in defense of what seem to me to be things that are utterly indefensible. But it must be a whole lot harder if you, for example, are a police officer battling with a shortage of resources, feeling you're not particularly well paid for a dangerous job. I wonder how that's affecting you. And that could extend, by the way, into other areas of public service life, because the ground has not only covered the SAPS itself, but it's covered municipal police departments in Tshwane and Ekurhuleni, Joburg, as I understand it, soon to be under the spotlight. And in general, things are being revealed about the way those two municipalities have been going about crucial things. So morale, yours, and the Madlanga Commission, if you've got a thought on that, 072 702 1702. Of course, we look at every, if we possibly can, aspect of human life, and we asked the question earlier, what is the most underrated thing about this rather difficult state of adulting, of being an adult. A couple of you had thoughts.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Most underrated thing for me of being an adult is having time for yourself. Having time for yourself in your home that you're paying bond or rent towards, just doing absolutely nothing, where you don't have to do school drop-offs, where you don't have to drop off the kids at a birthday party or pick them up from there, or even doing groceries, just being at home in this weather, without a child, without a husband. Oh, bliss, 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 bliss. Have a fantastic long weekend. Cheers.
Yeah, and just by the way, a lovely response to the song that Randall Abrams chose for Randall's One Song today. If you missed that, by the way, pick it up on primemediaplus.com, and it was a real gem today. He played Creep by the group TLC, song that came out in 1994, picked up a Grammy in the following year. Madeline says the song is truly timeless, resonating with every generation. Exclamation mark, by the way. Was surprised to find it on my son's playlist. Could be because we played it while traveling with them being in the car. 702 Drive. Speaking of cars, it's 11 minutes past 5. It's traffic time.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Let's get the very latest then with Khomotso Munyai, keeping an eye on the roads for you.
Thank you, John. So like I said earlier, it is quite rainy out there, so the roads are slippery and slick, so please take it easy and just give yourself a bit of extra time as you go. We'll start in Bearsnodia, where a 702 lander has reported some trouble on that route.
Hi, John. There is a road closure on Bearsnodia as you come from Berriarzog via Judith. If you intend to turn right into Bearsnodia, the road is closed. In fact, the road is completely closed, even for cars which are going towards Auckland Park. I think there's a tree that fell onto the road. So, yeah, people must just be aware. If you are on Berriarzog, rather go straight and find an alternative route. Otherwise, you'll have to get into Auckland Park, into Sophia Town, possibly, to get back into Bearsnodia. Hope this is clear. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. Please do drive carefully as you approach that area and be aware of that. There has been an accident on the R24 East at Isando Road in Kempton Park, and it is causing slight delays in that area. On the N3 South from the Patlu interchange all the way through to Kililu's interchange, there's still some heavy delays there, so please be patient. And lastly, the M1 North continues to be quite sluggish as you move from Glenhove Road all the way to the Patlu interchange. I'll be back with more updates in just a bit.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Sitting in a traffic jam is as fun as realizing you replied to all by mistake on a company-wide email. Instant regret. But fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are on the roads, easing traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely. They've been doing it for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today. Happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas, all of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa. It's powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting, and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
Hey Mom and Dad, did you know that the magical sale is back at Discount Baby City? Do you have everything for us? How about nappies? What about strollers, car seats and cots, and so much more? All at magical prices. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Look out for the Better Rewards icon and get 10% off on top of the promo price. Get to Discount Baby City for the magical sale. Thursday 30 April to Sunday 3 May only.
It was actually a flawless process. It definitely pays to switch. I wish we had done it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know, when you claim, your excess is a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In the world of finance, manufacturing, and mining, automating business processes is a crucial factor in stimulating an organization's growth and bottom line. Zoe Projects and Consulting, a specialized process engineering and automation firm, offers comprehensive data and business systems analysis to optimize your company's processes, to save time, reduce costs, and better efficiency. Go to zoeprojects.co.za and get in touch with Zoe Projects and Consulting today.
If you run a small business, you'll know growth doesn't happen by chance. It takes the right support. That's where MTN Business comes in.
At the core of MTN Engagement Services, it's tools that allow businesses to communicate, to be smarter in how they communicate, and also at the same time do it in a rapid and agile way. We're talking about things like chatbots, rich business media, about SMS and WhatsApp for business. They enable two-way communication with the audience that they serve.
To find out more ways MTN Business can support your growth, join the next conversation. Wednesday on the Afternoon Drive, MTN Business. Let's talk shop on 702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes past 5. Let's focus our attention now on the attempted murder case. This involving the son of late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe. Bellarmine Mugabe and his co-accused Tobias Mugabe Montonze have been in the Alexandra Magistrates Court. And one of the things that emerged in the court today is the investigating officer, Colonel Raj Ramchunda, said that the man who had been shot twice in the back at a Hyde Park residence, had been paid 250,000 rand and was expecting a further 150,000 rand in cash. So let's get into some of the issues that this raises and some others besides. And welcome to the show, Ulrich Roux, founder and managing director at Ulrich Roux and Associates. Mr. Roux, welcome and thanks very much for your time. How should we understand this payment, 250,000 rand so far and more money to come? I mean, can the court look at this as some attempt to interfere in its working? My thought would always be compensation surely comes after the court has finished its work.
Hi, good afternoon, John. Thank you for having me. Well, there's no other way to look at it than it being a bribe.
Yes.
To be honest with you, and that is how the court will also see it. So what came to light today with the investigating officer testifying is that the victim in the matter was shot twice in the back, was paid 250,000 rand and was promised another 150,000 rand to keep quiet. So in other words, not to come and testify in court in aggravation of sentence. So they basically attempted to buy the witness's silence by paying him, and him then not pitching up at court in order to testify against them.
I'm going to come back to the specifics of this case in a moment, but let's step back from an interaction that may lead to a victim saying, listen, I don't want to pursue this. In law, can the state say, well, we've got too many incidents of violence of this kind and we're pursuing it anyway, whether you want to come and testify or you think you're going to withdraw the charges or whatever, we're going ahead?
Yes, the decision to prosecute a matter or not always lies with the National Prosecuting Authority. And to your point, we've seen of late numerous incidents of domestic violence where a charge is laid against an individual and then, 2 or 3 days later, the person who laid the charge tries to withdraw the charge because the accused person is now in prison or in custody, and the state then refusing to withdraw the charge because it's still the prerogative of the state to withdraw the charge or not, and a person simply withdrawing a charge does not take away from the crime having been committed. So it is definitely, a problem that we see much more of late, and at the end of the day, even if a person does not want to testify or attempts to withdraw the charges, that final decision whether to prosecute a person or not still lies with the state. And it is the prerogative of the NPA to either continue with the matter or not.
Let's come back to the payment then to the man shot in this particular matter that's before the court. Mr. Ruan, ask you this. I mean, you say it's very clear to you it's a bribe. I mean, could there be a further charge added or a separate matter brought before a different court, perhaps, charging them with exactly that? I don't know what the correct term is, undermining the cause of justice. There must be a more accurate term than that.
Yes, the offence that you're referring to is defeating the end of justice.
Thank you, yeah.
And most certainly they could be charged with that separate to this matter. So if the complainant or the victim does depose to an affidavit under oath and lays a charge of defeating the ends of justice, then most certainly the police will investigate that, and most likely they would be tried on those charges. You know, the further difficulty that they face is that this has now been placed on record by the investigating officer, and most certainly the magistrate, when handing down sentence, will take this into consideration. You know, they've pleaded guilty, which means that they've accepted wrongdoing, they've accepted that they've committed crimes, but together with that, when you plead guilty, you are at the mercy of the court. And one of the determining factors when handing down a sentence is whether the accused show remorse or not. Now, most certainly a person who pleads guilty and is asking the court, you know, we're sorry, we committed a crime, but just give us a fine and deport us, and then we'll be happy. You know, that's not a person who's showing remorse. And then further to that, also trying to buy a witness's silence, again, shows no remorse. So unfortunately for them, I do think that this is going to count against them when they are sentenced on 29 April.
We've had listeners saying this is the son of a former president of Zimbabwe, someone who would potentially still have, through his family or political connections, significant pull in South African courts. I mean, is there anything in law that they could say, well, you know, okay, we'll serve our sentences. We would prefer to serve our sentences in Zimbabwe. I mean, I wouldn't have thought the law allows for that, but is there any way in which that could be swung from the two accused perspective?
Well, that is certainly what they are attempting to do, but unfortunately the law does not work that way. If you commit a crime in South Africa and you are convicted of that crime or plead guilty to it, then our law states very clearly that you must first serve your sentence in accordance with that crime, and after that you will be deported. They will be deported regardless, because it has come to light that both of them are in fact illegal in the country, and they have both pleaded guilty to that offence as well. So most likely, I predict that they will be sentenced to a period of imprisonment. They will have to serve that period of imprisonment in South Africa, and upon finalization of their sentence, they will then be deported to Zimbabwe. The old a cliche rings true, and that is that everyone is equal before the law. It doesn't matter if he is Robert Mugabe's son; he must still adhere to the laws of South Africa. And unfortunately for him, his status is not going to play a role in his sentencing and when the magistrate hands down sentence. If anything, and unfortunately for him as well, given the fact that they attempted to buy the silence of the victim is going to count against them, because they tried to use their status and possible means in order to buy that silence. So it will be seen as an aggravating circumstance, in my opinion.
And just speaking of aggravation, I mean, we heard again from Colonel Ramchunda that the accused didn't cooperate with police efforts to locate the weapon that could be significant in this matter. Again, is that something the court would look at?
Most definitely. He was quite clear in his testimony today that in his view they are simply trying to plead guilty so that they can be deported and be released from custody. And they have in fact not cooperated with the investigation at all. They have not offered any assistance. They have not come forth with the whereabouts of the firearm. So, it's all problematic for them. If you read between the lines, you also see that the cousin of Robert Mugabe's son has pleaded guilty to the more serious charge of attempted murder. Bellarmine Mugabe has only pleaded guilty to violation of the Immigration Act and pointing of a firearm which he alleges was only a toy gun. Now,
yes,
the only way in which the police can verify that is if they take possession of the alleged toy firearm that was used, and he has not been forthcoming with that. And without that information, they cannot place on record whether it was in fact only a toy gun or not. And accordingly, I think that the conclusion that the court is going to reach is that it was in fact a real gun, because they are offering no assistance in order to provide clarity regarding that aspect. So unfortunately for them, I think that the behavior up until now and since their arrest has not been in their favor and is going to count against them.
Thanks so much, Ulrich Roux, founder and managing director of Ulrich Roux and Associates. Still to come on 702 Drive, we do it every Friday. We invite somebody who you kind of know or somebody you're getting to know. We call it a song, a book, and a dish, and we invite our guests to choose music that has inspired them in the past, a book that has a special place in their lives and hearts, and of course, because there's a dish involved, we get them to talk about meals and memories of food shared, whether early in their life or more currently. All of that coming up in the company of Dr. Kingsley Makhubela. He was a distinguished diplomat in South Africa in the early years of our democracy, and he's been a regular guest both on this show and on others, explaining the many tricky things that need explaining in the world of complicated geopolitics. Looking forward to talking to him. That's at about 20 minutes to 6, 27 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702. EWN Business.
Stephen Crudis joins us once again with the very latest from the markets at the end of another week. Stephen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, John. Look, I think the markets were really trying to have a nice sort of long weekend. They tried very hard. They ended up, the JSE All-Share up 0.1% on the day at 11,656 points. There are some sort of optimism in the US about sort of hopes of peace with Iran, although I don't know if that's really realistic. Financials down 0.72, industrials up 0.16, resources up 0.94%, slightly higher gold and platinum prices on the day. So we see Goldfields up 3.59, we see Anglo Gold up 2.5. Obviously, some of the energy stocks still doing nicely. So we see Sasol up nearly 2%. And then stocks like AB InBev and British American Tobacco defensive stocks up. BAT up 3.2 and AB InBev up 1.2% and MTN up 1.25%. But the story of the day, probably Mondi, ending down 9.5%, John. and really is quite a strong decline. It's all because of an update. They said today that they do expect energy costs to continue rising, to have a bigger impact on them, particularly in their third quarter. They will have to raise prices in response. They did also say they'd been able to increase the volumes of product they've sold, but it was offset by lower average selling prices, so that's had a big impact there. Impala Platinum, their share price not really moving, they're keeping in mind with the platinum price, so moving with other shares, but they did see their sales volumes jump by 9.2% for the 3 months ending in March. Their year-to-date sales are up 3%. Overall refined and saleable production for the 3 quarters is up 5%, so they'll be quite chuffed, I think, with how that's panned out for them. Clicks down 3.6%. They were down yesterday. News out of Dis-Chem that retrenchments are coming there. They were also down yesterday. Tungela is down 2.86%. And the Foschini Group down 1.69%. And one or two of the financial shares, so Quilter down 1.68% and Sanlam down 1.59% on the day. As I say, the US a little bit more optimistic, but there's other news out of the US. So one of their top officials, this would be their sort of chief prosecutor, the Justice Department, so the U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro, saying that they're closing their investigation into Jerome Powell, the chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve. You'll remember that the U.S. President Donald Trump had wanted that investigation, tried to remove Powell, basically, I suppose, really to put more pressure on him to cut interest rates. In the end now, it looks like that investigation is over, and so I think that news filtering through too. The Dow Jones down 0.38%, the Nasdaq up 1%, the S&P 500 up 0.42% on the day. Then the gold price is $4,724.22 an ounce. Platinum $2,026.20. Brent crude $105.69. The rand to the dollar 16.56 to the euro, 19.38 to the British pound, 22.36. On the Money Show tonight, John, we'll talk more about new cryptocurrency regulations. People in that space not happy with what's been proposed at all. We'll speak to them about that. We'll get a sort of update on what's happening around Eskom, because there's been quite a few developments. And we'll speak to Nomsa Mazwai about the Sober Festival that she's hosting over the weekend at the Soweto Theatre. Something slightly different, I think, that we haven't really seen, but certainly around the world we're seeing more things like this. Stephen Curtis, always bringing sobriety to markets. EWN Business.
Cheers to that. Stephen Curtis back with the Money Show between 6 and 8. Don't miss that. It's 29 minutes now to 6, the very latest. Eyewitness News now with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Home Affairs has dismissed 7 more officials, bringing the total number of its dismissals to 63 since July 2024. 16 more officials have also been suspended, with actions linked to internal disciplinary processes, as well as findings from the Special Investigating Unit. Authorities say the move forms part of a broader effort to root out corruption and restore integrity within the department. Mongezi Koko reports.
Since the formation of the Government of National Unity, Home Affairs has initiated 95 misconduct cases, with 75 already finalized. The department says this reflects a more aggressive and consistent approach to consequence management aimed at dealing with wrongdoing swiftly and decisively. Home Affairs has long faced criticism over fraud, bribery and administrative failures, particularly around ID documents, passports and immigration services. Minister Leon Schreiber.
Pace at which Home Affairs is now processing disciplinary matters, resulting in these ongoing dismissals and other disciplinary action, demonstrates our unwavering commitment to cleaning up the damage done to this department over many years.
He adds that officials found guilty of misconduct will be dealt with immediately. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
The N1 near Polokwane in Limpopo has been closed off to traffic this afternoon following a head-on collision. Officers are yet to confirm casualties as emergency services attend to the scene. Traffic has been diverted to the nearby R101 and motorists are being advised to expect heavy congestion and delays throughout Mokopane. Limpopo Transport Department spokesperson Mashudu Mabata.
Motorists travelling from Polokwane towards Pretoria, Johannesburg, using the N1 South, divert at Polokwane and use the R101 through Mokopane to rejoin the N1 South. Motorists travelling from Pretoria or Johannesburg towards Polokwane using the N1 North, take the Mokopane off-ramp and join the R101 via Mokopane to access the N1.
While in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has approved a 30% relief on debt owed by local airlines to aviation agencies. He has also ordered talks involving fuel marketers, airlines and regulators to reach a fair jet fuel price within 72 hours. Representatives from government and regulators are expected to meet within the next 48 hours to agree on what the minister has described as fair, reasonable pricing for jet fuel. According to reports, the outcome will be made public. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. Lows of between 9 and 10 degrees and highs of between 19 and 22.
In the traffic in Pretoria, traffic is congested on the N1 North from the Flying Saucer interchange to Waterkloof Ridge, and all the way in Soweto and Protea Glen, there's still slow-moving traffic on the N12 as you head towards the R558.
The top story in EWN, Home Affairs has dismissed 7 more officials, bringing the total number of dismissals to 63 since July of 2024.
The Clement Manyatela Show on 702.
The Clement Manyatela Show is about everything. It's about current affairs, family matters, the work environment, your health and wellness, relationship and sex issues that couples face. It's about learning, helping each other, healing, teaching. It's about life in essence. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is that we are quite intentional about doing life together. We're always pulling through for each other, learning from each other, always teaching each other. We're not scared to disagree, but also we're brave enough to be vulnerable with each other. We just care about each other, and I think that is priceless.
The Clement Manyatela Show, weekdays from 9 to 12 p.m.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that brings us all together. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize Bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be a part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702 and get ready for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize Bonke. More on primediaplus.com.
Ah, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers 2 options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
That's Kefense, before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Yeah, John. Prince here from Edenville. Hey, this issue of our police, man. Hey, I feel like now they can madlanga everyone there. If they can madlanga everyone, then they marinate them. I enjoy when they marinate them. You know, we are concerned about our safety, man. Hey, our men in blue. I don't know. I feel like they can madlanga everyone there in the police force. Thank you. Nice show.
Yeah, 702 Drive. I don't buy that. I think there are many good men and women in the South African police, but they work increasingly, evidently, under a set of arrangements that make their difficult situation already worse. I'm not for a minute suggesting that every single cop is an angel, because that's simply not true and entirely unrealistic. But to say they all need madlangering, we're developing a whole new language out of the commission, I think just ignores how many of them actually are trying to do a decent job. 22 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
We heard earlier from the Chiefs captain, the Pirates coach, Tola Kele. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Abdeslam Wadu has called for humility from his Orlando Pirates players as they look to keep alive their Betway Premiership title hopes and maintain their unbeaten run against Kaizer Chiefs. The Soweto rivals will meet on Sunday at a sold-out FNB Stadium, with the Buccaneers having not lost to the Glamour Boys in the league since 2019.
Our team never give up since the beginning until the end. We are not going to change anything in terms of the attitude because it's the print of Pirates since the beginning of the season. Guys who are fighting until the end, well organized, a lot of runs, a lot of intensity. So the face or the attitude that you are going to see on the derby,
Kaizer Chiefs lost the February meeting 3-0 after being outplayed in every department by the Buccaneers. Khalil Ben Youssef insists Amakosi have grown since then, with the team currently on a 6-game unbeaten run.
The two teams in there in a good way. Yes, the pressure is more about Orlando Pirates because missing 1 point, it can cost missing the league. But also for us, we have big responsibility, like we said from the first day, that we are managing every game as a cup game. We are trying to do our best to reach the maximum, to take the maximum point and to reach the best possession. The project that we start from last season, we are there. We discussed about very important to come back the first season to AFCON, and we did it. We said that the second year you have to be close to second, third, and we are there also.
Arsenal will look to keep their Premier League title race campaign on track when they take on Newcastle United tomorrow. Less than 2 weeks ago, the Gunners held a 9-point lead over Manchester City, but the two teams are now level on points with the London side second on the log on goals scored.
It's 5 games to go, 4 weeks, 2 big competitions to play for and everything to play for. I mean, if somebody would have told us at the beginning of the season, we would have taken it, and we are so excited. And tomorrow is game 1.
And the Proteas women are still searching for the perfect game ahead of the final 2 T20s against India, beginning with the penultimate match of the 5-game series on Saturday. South Africa have claimed 3 dominant victories to seal a bilateral T20 series victory over India for the first time since 2021. For Chloe Tryon, she's discussed their attempts to improve on their fielding.
I don't think we're a bad fielding team at all. I just felt like we're getting in pretty bad positions. I think in Durban, the ball doesn't travel as quick, and we have to adjust here. The ball's going to fly a lot more, so it's going to come to you. So I think just for us, it's probably just going to be a mindset, wanting the ball. I know sometimes when you drop a catch, the ball tends to follow you around a lot. So we can't be tentative in those moments. We've got to be a bit more braver and, put our bodies on the line.
Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
19 minutes to 6 now on 702 Drive. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Khomotso Munyai is guiding you through the late afternoon rush hour. Here's your update. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you. So due to the rain, there are also patches of fog and mist across parts of Johannesburg. So please drive with caution and keep your headlights on. We'll start in Pretoria. You can expect congestion on the N1 North. This is between the Flying Saucer interchange and the Waterkloof area. In Linwood, there's been an accident on the N1 South just before Linwood Road, and it is slowing down traffic. You can still expect some delays on the N3 South from the Batlu interchange all the way to the Galulis interchange, and it only seems to be easing up just after the Geldenhuys interchange. The M1 South is also moving slow from Killarney Bends to the Crown interchange, and while in the opposite direction as you head towards Sandton, there's still some slow moving traffic as well from Glenhove Road all the way to the Batlu interchange actually. If you do come across any other traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 50 was, as per my last email, too passive-aggressive. Oh, the torture. Well, with Outsurance Pointsmen on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket. And save on deals like Dew Fresh Long Life Milk, a 1 litre 6-pack for $94.99. Sunfoil Pure Sunflower Seed Oil, 2 litres for $69.99. And Sanex Shower Gel or Body Wash 500 mils, any 2 for R110. Save 80 Rand. Valid until 10 May, only at Checkers.
It's another girl!
Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
5:45 on 702 Drive. One of the challenges I've found over the last year and probably longer is trying to make sense of the many things going on in international relations. There's been the tariff wars emanating out of the White House in the United States. Speaking of the US, the complications of that country's relationships with our own. And then now, of course, the global geopolitics brought to a boiling point by the conflict in and around Iran. Regularly on 702 Drive, we have turned to my next guest for insight, for explanation, and for a calm-headed view of the many, many difficult things we're trying to get our brains around. Dr. Kingsley Makhubela has lived a remarkable life growing up in Soweto. He was in his early 20s in exile and acting as head of security for Oliver Reginald Tambo, leader of the African National Congress in exile. He served with distinction in many areas of the South African government and is now director and founder of a company called Risk Recon, and we're delighted to have him with us on 702 Drive. Dr. Makhubela, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you very much, John. What a pleasure.
So, growing up in Zone 4 in Meadowlands, with your mom, Elizabeth, as a teacher, probably keeping quite a close eye on you and your behavior and your progress through school, did you have any idea as a young boy moving into your teens as to what you might like to do?
You know, my mother has always been a role model. As a teacher, we all aspired to be teachers.
Right.
Only when I started reaching high school, during the turbulence time in Soweto, that I started to join the student movement and subsequently join the underground movement of the ANC and Umkhonto weSizwe. At a very tender age, John, of 18 years, and the rest, as they would say, it's history.
In terms of what you enjoyed before perhaps the politics of the time, because we're talking now about the early mid-70s, the rise of black consciousness, obviously the Soweto uprising in 76, which I think would have found you as a young man who just recently turned 15, if I'm not mistaken, or something similar. But as a smaller boy, what did you like about school? Did you like school at all?
You know, school was always a place of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
School was always a place of joy. We play football, watch football, some of us who couldn't play much better than the rest. But also it was kind of a convergence point where we would play our skills, trying to appear to be clever streetwise.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge has always been in the classroom that we realize we're not that clever, actually.
What kind of books were coming your way in your life in Soweto? I don't know if you were part of the large group of young men and women who eagerly awaited the availability of the next James Hadley Chase, or were you reading more serious stuff at a young age?
Well, we were also very much fascinated by James Hadley Chase. Believe this, believe everything, you know?
Yes.
We read James Hadley Chase. But at school, what was very interesting to me was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which was part of the curricula at that stage. And literally later on in life, I would use the analogy of people who played both ways as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So that was one of the books that I got very much interested in, Oliver Twist. And we were very looking into also Julius Caesar at the time. So this was a very interesting time to try to understand. Sometimes the English in Julius Caesar would be very difficult to understand, would play around with words.
Yes.
But James Hadley, I had a friend who just lived not far from our school, would always exchange books, James Hadley Chase, with us.
We asked you to choose a dish. You chose pup and meat. Obviously, we're interested in food, but mainly we're interested in food shared and meal times. I don't know if your dad, Ben, as a driver, was on the road a lot and not always around at meal times, but meals at the Makhubela family, I mean, what was going on? And most importantly, what were you talking about?
You know, our mother was the matriarch. She's always taught us to help in household. But the best time, of course, was to have the pap and vleis, as we would call it. And it was a staple meat, food that we all look forward to. Would invariably during the weekend have custard and rice as a dessert, but pap and vleis was our daily food, John, and we really appreciated that. As we grew up, it's one thing that even now at my late 60s, very difficult to get rid of the pap, you know.
I want to jump to your time in exile, which was extended, and presumably in your work alongside the late Oliver Tambo, you would have traveled quite a lot, different parts of the African continent, but also his work involved travel to the northern and countries in the north and the east as well. What did you miss most about South Africa? I mean, if you felt late at night or early in the morning a painful stab of homesickness, was there anything that particularly triggered it?
You know, homesickness was one thing, John, but you know, the food that we used to eat on the streets in Soweto, you know, half a loaf of white bread and Lendrick fish.
Yes.
We never had fish in exile. We used to crave for that, particularly those who were coming from home. They used to tell us how Lendrick fish has changed from how we used to know it. But those were the moments.
Yeah. No, please carry on.
The most thing that one used to miss, John, was Christmas in the township. And I remember one time I was in Moscow during Christmas time, and it was freezing. And really to think about the festivities at home, which later became a defining fact for me. Even when I was in New York, my thinking Christmas was a punishment to have a white Christmas instead of a festive Christmas here at home. It's something that I dearly missed.
On that theme, obviously you and many other people in not just the ANC, but the PAC and other organizations as well came home. Did you go in search of that half loaf and Glenrick? I mean, there must have been so many things that had profoundly changed, and you know, you didn't come back into settled circumstances, a lot of uncertainty, but did you find a way to connect with the things you'd missed?
You know, I was amongst the first group to come back home that included Jacob Zuma, Penuel Maduna, and so on, and Matthew Posa were a bit of a bigger group that first came back home. But when we first arrived in the country, it was to reconnect and go and have precisely the bread and Glenrick fish,
Yes.
That was the best one, not the Lucky Star. The Glenrick one used to be the favorite one. And having had that, it was like a satisfying thing, John, to really come back home. And that's when one realized that we are indeed back home now.
Yeah, and had the fish changed as the younger exiles warned you it had?
Things have changed, We had to go and try to track down our school sweethearts, and we find that they are married and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Things have changed. Life has totally changed. The township were totally different then. So adjusting was a very big issue for most of us.
I want to get to the book that you've chosen. We took a detour through the library of your earlier life, which was mixed, Oliver Twist, Julius Caesar. But you've read, I would think, shelves full of books since then, and you've picked one called The Authoritarian Spectre. It's written by a late Canadian psychologist, Bob Altemeyer, and it's a book, as I understand it, I haven't read it, but looks at the psychology of authoritarian mindsets, both on the right and on the left. A book clearly important to you. Tell us why.
Bob Altemeyer wrote this Authoritarian Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
In the Authoritarian Spectre, he defines both the right and the left in politics. Within the left, the left as the center, and the periphery, both right on left and left on left. And those definitions, I found them very useful in the whole book. It's a research that really took Bob Altemeyer, I think, close to 12 years to research on the psychology of governance and dictators and authoritarians. It has helped me to really understand some of the behaviors later on in life, and some of the things that I try to understand and unpack around the world. And I found Bob Altemeyer very useful. I just recommended this book to a friend of mine the other day. I bought a second-hand book in Amazon, and I don't even part with it, John.
Let's talk music. We'll get to your song in a moment and you'll tell us why you chose it. But more broadly, I mean, if we look at the span of your life, obviously the music you grew up with, the music that maybe reminded you of home in the exile years and so on. Music important to you? Are you much of a singer yourself?
I'm not a singer, fortunately. I'm a listener.
Okay.
The contemporary music in exile, we used to enjoy Stimela. Mm-hmm. Watching new music, Brenda Fassie, anything that was coming from home when we were in exile was a big thing. Later on, I learned to really appreciate classical music. I've been to the Bolshoi in Moscow, and I've been to the Opera Theater in East Germany to appreciate La Traviata and really watch the classics. But what stand out for me is the music from my roots, as you know. I really love Bob Marley because when we were growing up, Bob Marley was like a rebellion. If you listen to No Woman, No Cry and The Wedding, that will share food in trench town, those were things that we would identify with because we saw Bob Marley as young people as a rebel. And growing up, it kept on inspiring us. When they released Bob Marley's a film a few years ago, I was delighted to repeat watching it. Even now, I can't stop watching Bob Marley. It's quite interesting to look into his life and how he traversed and how actually being somebody who comes from both the African-American heritage and the white British and how he didn't find identity. So it's quite interesting.
Well, we're going to play one of his very greatest songs as we thank you, Kingsley Makhubela, for sharing with us your song, your book and your dish. And of course, we thank you as well for your regular contributions to our shows as we try and understand a very bewildering global world. Thanks so much for giving us your song, your book and your dish.
Thank you, John.
in Trenchtown. And then Georgie would make the firelight as it was logwood burning through the night. And we would cook cornmeal porridge, of which I'll share with you. My feet.
The great Bob Marley on 702 Drive, which has been produced by Rifue Letsua and Jonathan Fairburn, Karabo Malapile, our technical producer. I'm John Perlman. Have a great weekend. If you're having a long weekend, have an even greater long weekend. From all of us, good night.
Everything's gonna be alright. 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 So woman, no cry.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, engineered for how Africa trades. That's how invested Absa is in your story. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, cryptocurrency traders start to fret over new proposals. The National Treasury would tighten government's net around crypto trading. We'll assess the electricity minister's promise that there'll be no more huge power price hikes and the new deadline to make sure the national grid is run independently by the end of next year. And ahead of a long weekend, we'll discuss the value